Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show. Happy to be finishing off the week with you here on ESPN 792 on FM. It's a great day. Excuse me. It's a great day for you to swing by Big Willie's at 1717 South Main. Tell them OC sent you. Take advantage of the lunch specials, the drink specials, the cold beers on draft. Tell your boss you're leaving at noon today. You're clocking out at 1 o'clock today. And head over to 1717 South Main. Enjoy yourself a little afternoon. Perfect day to be out on the patio, having some tater kegs, maybe a mozzarella stick or two. Chicken wings sound pretty darn good today. They have all of those things at Big Willie's. Delightful food menu and incredible service every single time. NBA playoffs continue. NHL playoffs continue. Philadelphia finds themselves on the brink of elimination. The Carolina Hurricanes have put together a nice little Stanley Cup playoff so far. They're up 3-0 in that series, and I'm not sure Philadelphia is equipped for the comeback, although 3-1 and 3-0 comebacks are a lot more common in the NHL than they are in NBA basketball. It's still not a high percentage move. We talked about it with the Utah Mammoth. It's about 80% of the time if you go up 3-1 or better, you're going to win the series. I was watching OKC LA last night. I find myself in a really odd position where I almost, dare I say it, I almost want to see the Lakers make more of a series out of this. I almost want to see the reviled LA Lakers snag a couple of games, force it at least to Game 7. LeBron James is cringy at times, but he's a guy that I think is underappreciated, even though he is incredibly hyped up. I think he's underappreciated for his longevity, and not just his longevity, but his longevity at a level of insane production. And he's never going to supplant Michael in my mind, but he is a guy that I want to enjoy while, we're in these twilight years. I am a year older than LeBron James, okay? We are effectively the same age. LeBron James is outperforming 20-something-year-old people at the highest level on a nightly basis. And any of you out there listening who've crossed that 40-year threshold, even if you're in great shape, even if you are spending a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort on keeping yourself healthy, it is not the same. And LeBron somehow makes it look the same. He's an abnormal specimen, for sure. And even as I'm watching the Lakers and being like, all right, maybe they can make a game of this, and they did for 3 quarters, OKC is just too much. There's something else that's interesting with OKC. They've obviously got a really good home court thing going on. They're a team that seems to have leaned in, embraced the community, and the same thing has happened back. They end up winning the game, the Thunder do, 125-107. And on the strength of really a really dominant third quarter, end of the third quarter, into the fourth, you outscored LA 36-22 after the half. And going into the half, it looked like the Lakers were maybe going to push to even this thing up to go back to LA. LeBron ended up with 23 points. That led all scorers in the game. Again, this is a 41-year-old man who's doing this. But OKC just has too much in the tank right now. And Lou Dort is too good of a defender. And I'm fascinated by the fact that right now Oklahoma City has to be kind of the gold standard, not just because they're defending champs, but because of the fact that they're defending champs who show they have incredible depth. They've got the MVP, but the MVP isn't the only thing that moves that that team along. Chet Holmgren had a monster game last night. And it was just, it felt like kind of what I feel the same way watching Oklahoma City as I do watching the Colorado Avalanche, where I'm like, you know what, this team is destined for a championship this year. And plenty of things can happen. Carolina, especially in the NHL, is going to have some things to say about it. The New York Knicks appear that they might have something to say about Oklahoma City. And maybe San Antonio will as well. Or maybe it'll be Minnesota. But you get a feeling watching Oklahoma City, the same feeling you get when you watched the Colorado Avalanche this year. And that's a twofold prospect for me. The same feeling is, wow, this team is really good, and I don't know if anyone's equipped to beat them over the course of a 7-game series this particular year, but more in the case of Oklahoma City than in the case of the Avalanche, although the Avalanche have a little bit of this as well. The local team chasing that gold standard, the gold standard in front of us right now is OKC, chasing that. How do they get over that hump? Now, I think they're going to be a playoff team sooner than later. I think they might even win a playoff series sooner than later. But how do you get from where you're at right now, if you're the Utah Jazz, to OKC's level? Well, you try to emulate a lot of the things that OKC has done. I think that it's an encouraging prospect, the same way that the Utah Jazz had those, deep connections, those deep ties to a San Antonio Spurs franchise that was the gold standard for 2 decades, basically, under Greg Popovich, and still gets to be talked about in the same light. The same way you were trying to, unabashedly trying to copycat a Spurs model, because that's a small market team. That's a team that, yes, had superstar talents on it, but was also built through incredible depth. And the superstars that you found, you often found in non-conventional means. You acquired them through, international prospects and drafting guys that maybe were overlooked by other teams. Now, that's not why the Spurs are good now. Everyone on the planet knew that Victor Wembanyama was going to be something. I don't know that everyone on the planet knew that Stephon Castle was going to be something. I don't know if you go back and you've got truth serum in the veins of every NBA pundit, how many folks thought that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was ever going to grow into what he has grown into. Obviously, they benefited from getting a player like Chet Holmgren and having him work out. Lou Dort is someone that we watched in the Pac-12 conference, and it was just like, wait, how is Lou Dort being undervalued and overlooked when it was clear at that time when Lou Dort was coming into the league, guys like Draymond Green had already demonstrated their value in the league. Guys like Raja Bell, if you want to localize it, had already for years demonstrated their value in the league. There's a ton of individuals that you could cut from that same cloth, and Lou Dort is not built the same as all those guys. But I was like, how is he being overlooked and undervalued? Well, he wasn't by Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City has found a perfect role for him to play. And it's one of those things, again, do you emulate this? Well, in the case of the Utah Jazz, the Lou Dort role is going to be a big man, honestly. It's going to be like a Walker Kessler type player, but he might not have the versatility to do it. So who is going to be your defensive specialist that you pay like an offensive contributor, but really that guy's job is just to shut down the opposing player on the team. And Lou Dort does it with the opposing best player on every team. So he defends 9 out of the 10 best guys in the league, the exception being when it's somebody who's gigantic. And that's why maybe a Spurs OKC finals matchup could get a little bit more interesting. But they've got Isaiah Hartenstein, who is also filling a similar role there, where he's kind of the grinder. He's kind of the gritty dude. And for the Utah Jazz, you want to check all these boxes, and you don't have the same personnel. You don't have the same guys, but you're going to check all those boxes if you can. And I just get this feeling. I've been wrong a trillion times before. I might be wrong about this, but I get a feeling watching Oklahoma City, and they will find tougher tests than this version of the LA Lakers, I'm sure. But even when they meet those tough tests, even when they don't play a perfect first half of basketball, they end up winning by 20 points. They're just that good right now.
That's why I haven't been with Gordy Chiesa has been quick to point out, and we love Gordy. He's been quick to point out that there's been a new champion for the first time in NBA history. There's been a new champion every year since the Raptors won in 2019, right? It's 7 straight years. And on top of that, the defending champion hasn't made it out of the second round each of those years. He's been quick to point that out whenever you've asked, hey, is OKC going to repeat? This OKC team, to me, all year long, has felt different from all those other teams that lost in the first or second round in the past 7 years. Starting with the Raptors, then the Lakers, then and on through, right? They have the depth. They're doing this without Jalen Williams. Evan Cohen, when he joined you the other day, OC, he said Jalen Williams scored 40 in an NBA Finals game, and they're dominating teams without that guy, right? Chet Holmgren has all the pieces. He has all the size and the skill to be an MVP one day. And he was the third best offensive player on the team last year. He's the third best offensive player when Jalen Williams is healthy this year. And in Jalen Williams' absence, he's played like, hey, yeah, you can go through me too, because Shea hasn't been that dominant individually. This team plays like 12 guys a night. AJ Mitchell, who wasn't even on their part of their playoff run last year, is averaging like 17 points a game for them off the bench in this series. Like this team just has too many good players. Shea can be almost absent comparatively, and they can win by 20 points. When the Lakers have played 2 of the best games that they've played against the Thunder all year long, some of the best games they've played in the playoffs, they're getting blown out. The Spurs might be able to beat them. I'm not sure anyone else can.
There were years in the NBA where you had to have a big three. You had to have a big three.
I think those days are gone.
And those 3 were all-stars, and you spent all your money on those guys, and then everybody else was just a bit player. They were like in the credits after the movie, they were sandwich guy number 4. It was it was not. Now, I think you have to have a big one, a giant one, and then a bunch of mediums.
Yeah.
I think you have to have an ensemble cast with one Oscar winner at the top if I'm going to, for some reason, unexplainably
make it into a movie.
Like, I don't think you can win an NBA championship right now without a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, without a Luka Doncic, without a Jason Tatum, without a Victor Wembanyama. But I don't think that the best formula in today's NBA is to have LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and then a bunch of who's that guy?
Let's think about the Lakers. LeBron James and Luka Doncic. That might not get it done because the rest of the team they have, Austin Reeves is really good.
Austin Reeves is good. Luke Kennard has done some nice things.
But
Rui Hachimura is playing well, but that's not enough.
They're an awkward fit. Even as well as Kennard has played and Rui was on a heater last night, they always seem to be an awkward fit. DeAndre Ayton, I would never want that guy to be my starting center on a playoff team, by the way. I don't know what happened to the DeAndre Ayton we saw in the Suns finals run. That was only 5 years ago. He looks older than Greg Oden did when Oden was playing college. And he just gets manhandled. And that a guy like that with those kind of physical tools should not be doing that. But I digress on that. I'm so glad you brought that up, and I think it's great news for the Utah Jazz as they start their hopefully contending era here, coming out of the tank era. That the way of the league has gone from needing a bunch of stars to win championships to needing a really good ensemble cast, because that's what they committed to when they traded for Jaren Jackson Jr.
Right.
Unless they can get an AJ DeBonsa or
and honestly,
Darren Peterson, if the cramping issue doesn't extend.
The AJ DeBonsa thing just accelerates the expectation, because you still need this Utah Jazz team still needs somehow, and that's, I mean, you're desperate for an AJ DeBonsa type player, because I think that the curse of the Utah Jazz as they're constructed right now will be, as they move forward, and they will be a lot more successful. I think they'll win games. I think they'll be a playoff team, or at least a play-in team. The curse for the Utah Jazz moving forward is going to be, well, who is your MVP? Who is your elite player? Like, I really, really enjoy Lauri Markkanen, healthy Lauri Markkanen, not faking anything Lauri Markkanen, not being tanked Lauri Markkanen. I really love his game. He's not a number one on a contending team. Keontae George, you have done some incredible things in terms of growth and development in your career. Also not a number one. Now, maybe Ace Bailey grows into that.
Yeah, if they're not able to draft an A.J. DeBonsa type, Darren Peterson type in this draft, maybe the hope is Ace Bailey can be that
Ace
guy.
is the most likely candidate, but it's going to require a lot of patience. And even A.J. DeBonsa, if you're able to draft him, would require a lot of patience.
Yeah, it's not going to be day one he's going to dominate the league.
But that's the, I mean, it's like looking at this painting, and you're just like, wow, the background of this painting is beautiful. You've really laid it out perfectly. This is amazing. I love this. And the frame is absolutely spectacular. It's just, what is it missing? And it's just like, well, it's missing
focal point.
It's missing the Mona Lisa. It's missing that, right? It's missing the starry night. That's what we're missing is, unfortunately, right now, the biggest piece of the recipes. Oh my gosh, dude. This spaghetti that you made, the sauce and the Parmesan, the perfect ratio here, and the pasta is perfectly al dente. Well, it needs the meatball, though.
Yeah,
it needs like the main course here, and that's a tougher ask, and I fully realize that, but there is still some encouragement in watching. I mean, honestly, San Antonio still, but OKC certainly.
Well, Evan Cohen brought up the 2024 Boston Celtics too, and I'm glad he brought that up because they were also lost in the whole Jason Tatum's incredible and Jaylen Brown. Look at how awesome he is on that team. Was that they went like 8 to 10 guys deep themselves.
Yeah,
like Al Horford was your like 7th best offensive player, and he was still good for 20 every few games, right? That was Derek White is a guy who would in the playoffs would drop 20 almost every night for them.
I mean, OKC got 31 minutes out of Cason Wallace last night. Alex Caruso is a guy that on a lot of other teams in the NBA right now is a definitive starter, or he is your 6th man of the year, and he's like
your best perimeter defender, and he's maybe the 2nd best perimeter defender behind Lou Dort, and he's like the 6th or 7th guy off the bench.
So OKC is impressive. There was another takeaway in the game last night that I think is maybe a bit more of a hot take. Here's a question for you. How often do you have to be dirty? Or how dirty does something have to be for you to be called a dirty player? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night against Austin Reeves did one of the dirtiest things that we have seen in NBA basketball all year long. And the Lakers are being made fun of right now for their conversations, their post-game conversations with the ref, their extracurricular conversations they're having with Oklahoma City, the complaining that J.J. Redick is doing. The Lakers are being made into a punchline here. And trust me, it feels strange for me to be defending the Lakers. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did something in a basketball game last night that is considered dirty and bad form at like a jiu-jitsu tournament. When you saw, I don't know how much of the game you were able to watch.
Elbow to the
He had Austin Reeves.
There?
No, he had Austin Reeves' arm tangled in a way where effectively it was Reeves' arm is in Shai's armpit.
Yeah.
Okay? It's an underhook to use the parlance of wrestling and or combat sports. So Austin Reeves has an underhook and Shai has an overhook that often in basketball, 99 times out of 100, what happens is you swim the top arm over and you bring your arm back in, your elbow back to your own side for positioning, right? Most times in basketball, you don't grip down on that arm that is in your own armpit, because it serves you no purpose. When you're the guy being underhooked, it gives somebody else control. It gives somebody else leverage. So in basketball and in other things, almost always people will reposition their shoulder, their arm to make it so that a guy's not underneath them. Watch one-on-one pass rush drills, take the cuts from Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu against David Bailey that are rotating around the internet. Low man wins, but low arm especially wins. If you can get your arm underneath somebody's pec or armpit, they have to recover. They have to reposition rapidly. Otherwise, your center of gravity gets put up too high. You get thrown off balance. And so when guys are positioning out at the three-point line, especially when they're down low in the post, individuals in every sport will try to swim their arm back inside. You don't want your arm hanging out here with somebody underneath it. It's just not good for your balance, your footwork, your positioning, anything. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night did something that you do not see in NBA basketball games. You do not see in most places. He bit down, right? He tangled his arm up further. He further secured the underhook for Austin Reeves, and then he spun himself out to hyperextend Austin Reeves' arm. Like if I do this in a jiu-jitsu practice, I'm getting jumped by the guys that are watching me because it's a dirty move. If you do this in a jiu-jitsu tournament, it's not illegal, but it's frowned upon because what you do is it's not the chess match there. What you're doing is you're torquing your body rapidly and hyperextending the arm rapidly and potentially breaking the arm or tearing an elbow, things like that. And it's not like something that you're not defending it intelligently, right? It's like your arm gets stuck in the wrong position and you're in a bear trap and then all of a sudden snap. It's just frowned upon because it's not a move that you can even tap out from. It happens too fast. And it's the goal of that move. You could do it in a fight because you're trying to get them out of there by any means necessary, right? You're doing it in a fight by design because they can't tap. It's just injuring the arm. And I know that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander probably isn't aware of that move as a martial art technique, but I can guarantee you this. He realized how tangled up Austin Reeves was with him, and he realized that if he tangles it up even more and he spins, it's going to hurt Austin Reeves' arm. And he did that. He's the MVP. He's a guy who does not have the Draymond Green reputation. If it had been Draymond Green who was doing this, he is serving a suspension. Unequivocally, there's a fight happening. Because it was Shai, it was an incredibly dirty move that wasn't treated as such because it was Shai. He does not have that reputation the same way other guys in the league might, especially a guy like a Draymond Green. If this was, you go back to the 90s, if this was Charles Oakley or Anthony Mason or somebody like that, if this was a Dennis Rodman move, if Karl Malone did this, we're fighting, right? Those guys had a reputation of a cantankerous and rough thing. Shai doesn't have that, but that was a dirty play. Not like I stuck my foot out and he landed on my foot. That is a dirty play that is designed to hurt an opponent. And Austin Reeves was hurt by it. Thankfully, he wasn't injured by it, but you could see he was just like, oh my gosh, that was a very, very close call for him. And if Shai knew a little bit more about how to secure that arm a little bit tighter and how to spin his body a little bit faster or with a little bit more leverage, that would have broken Austin Reeves' arm. That was a dirty play, and nobody's talking about it.
I feel like I've seen worse.
We all feel like we've seen worse because when somebody gets elbowed in the face,
yeah,
it's like a super direct thing.
I get you, and I appreciate the explanation. I get how it could be a worse injury than what we've seen, but I feel like the reason why it's not being talked about the way that you feel like it should, in addition to he's got a much cleaner reputation, that's certainly a big part of it. But I think it's also because, I've just watched it like 5 times again, and you can tell that Reeves' arm, that it's hurting him because of how the explanation you just made, OC, about how it hyperextended his arm. But the move doesn't look that egregious compared to, like you said, the other things, even though it is. So I feel like I've seen a lot worse.
You know what this is the equivalent of? This is the exact same thing as when somebody grabs an ankle and gator rolls at the bottom of a pile, or grabs an ankle, and you see that in basketball and in football. It's the exact same thing. What you're doing is you're pinning one part of a body and compromising a joint a little bit further up the chain. It's the exact same principle, but because it's basketball and because it's not an elbow to the face, it's not a headbutt, nobody got punched. And in basketball, what they worry about more often with a lot of these flagrants, right? When you take somebody out of the air and you upend them while they're in the air, that's a flagrant. That's obviously incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, like the one that I'm thinking of that might be one of the worst I've seen, and Gary Payton II was victimized by it. He actually did break his arm, get his arm broken, was Dylan Brooks, 4 years ago now, when the last Warriors championship year, Gary Payton II's going up for a layup, and Dylan Brooks just like entire arm came down on one of Gary. I can't remember if it was the arm, the ball that he had the ball in, or the other one, and it broke Gary Payton II's arm. Like, that's probably the worst I've seen, and as far as trying to make it look like a basketball play, and you just destroyed somebody's arm instead unnecessarily. That to me way worse than what, at least the way it looked, than what Shea did last night. I think that it was probably officiated the right way, though.
No, I credit the
just
officials.
A flagrant one. Don't throw him out of the game for that.
I credit the officials for at least acknowledging, and like if Reeves hadn't, like if he was actually injured by it, maybe we're having a different conversation.
Maybe it's a flagrant 2, and he's out of there.
I credit the officials for knowing what they saw there, because it does look relatively innocuous, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander pins the arm down and torques his body against the motion, against where the pinning leverage is. Where, I mean, if they were more hip to hip in terms of like standing next to each other instead of kind of like facing each other, this would have been a lot more serious. And I'm not trying to overblow the impact, because Austin Reeves is fine, and he
finished the game.
That's good. He finished the game. He continued to played
really well. That didn't seem to be worse.
So if Dylan Brooks had done this, great example. If Dylan Brooks had done this,
reputation matters.
It's an ejection.
Yeah, reputation absolutely matters. You bring up Draymond Green too. Like, it absolutely, being a multiple offender, I should say, absolutely matters with this, and Shai just isn't that. I think we might be getting a call.
Answer the phone. Let's see what they have to say. Jump on the 877-353-0700 if you ever want to hop in and give us your opinion. If you just want to text in, you can also do it there.
I must have offended them with the way I answered the phone. I'm sorry.
Wow.
You can call back. I'll just put you on, OC can say hi. Is
877-353-0700, is it close to a number that people are trying to call for something else?
It might be, because we had one yesterday.
Is there like a 0070 instead of a 0700?
0070.
That's like a customer service line for a car dealership or something. Then when you're just like ESPN 700, like, and hang up. They just panic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be.
All right.
Be. But you're right. Reputation might be the biggest part of this, and Shai, his reputation is clean, the foul merchant stuff notwithstanding.
But I'm watching you, Shai. Okay?
Yeah, we're gonna name you dirty if you do this again this series.
You're on notice, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He listens every day to the show. So, all right, I have not told you, Bill Riley is going to join us on the show today. Roxy Bernstein is going to join us on the show today. And Lauren Beck, RSL Radio pre-half and post-game show host. I haven't talked – we worked together here at the station, whatever it was, a decade ago. I haven't talked to Lauren in forever. I'm really excited for that conversation. So that's all coming. we better take a break now so we can get to Bill Riley. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Time to welcome in the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Our conversation with Bill brought to you by our friends at Handy and Handy, handylawutah.com. Bill Riley, how are you?
Sean O'Connell, I'm great. What's going on?
Well, just sports and stuff. A lot of things I wanted to pick your brain about, but one of the things is now that we have our own NHL team, although that team is out of this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. And, of course, our NBA team here in Salt Lake City is not in the NBA playoffs. Which is more interesting to you right now? I'm sure nobody's watching every single game of every single series, but NBA playoffs or NHL playoffs?
Stanley Cup playoffs, no doubt. And that was even the case before we had the Mammoth here. I just love the Stanley Cup playoffs. I love the action. I love the way they do it. I don't really get interested in the NBA until we're a little further along. I've almost forgotten what the NBA playoffs look like here in Salt Lake City. It seems like it's been so long, but
Yeah.
no, I've always been a hockey playoff guy. And now with the Mammoth here, I was saying this to Spence the other day when I was talking to him. And being out of the day-to-day like you guys do, I feel like I can kind of settle in and be a fan. I didn't grow up in a town. Kansas City didn't have professional hockey. They had a minor league team, but I didn't have that growing up. So I never really had an NHL team to root for. And the Mammoths kind of give me a little bit of fandom, which sometimes we lose a little bit when we do the jobs that we do. So I'm loving. I love the series with Vegas. I hope it starts up a little regional rivalry, but I'm far and away in on the NHL a lot more than the NBA right now.
Because you mentioned Kansas City, are you familiar with Hawaiian Bros? Was that around when you were in Kansas City?
No. Is that one of the many Hawaiian restaurant chains? What is Hawaiian Bros?
Hawaiian Bros is a chain, a fast casual chain in Kansas City that apparently is they've been running a promotion this year where if the Royals score more than 6 runs, you get a free plate lunch. And apparently they had to discontinue it because they've already given away $700,000 worth of free lunches because the Royals are scoring a lot of runs.
Were they just expecting the Royals to be a really bad offensive team this year? I guess they didn't have high hopes for the Royals. Now, the Royals haven't been great, but their bats have come alive lately. So, that's never a good look for you as a restaurant because it kind of feels like you're welching on a bet. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. Oh, no, maybe we're not. Maybe you do a little bit more planning and say, okay, every time the Royals score 8 in a game, because 8's a pretty big number. 8 rhymes with Hawaiian plate, and then you go in that direction. But what would you say it was 5 or 6?
6 runs in home games. It's like, and I looked at it, I was like, okay, 6. Yeah, 6 is a lot of runs, but it's not like a lot of runs. So I looked back.
And they brought the fences in at Kauffman Stadium this year. They should have taken note of that. They brought the fences in like 15 feet.
I mean,
that's going to create more offense.
There's been whole seasons of Royals baseball where they've averaged 5 runs a game. So 6 was not the right place to put the threshold if you're giving away free product. You know what I mean?
Well, they should have also talked to their barbecue brethren before they ran that. Hey, you guys have been around a lot longer than we have. And the barbecue joints would have said, yeah, don't do that. We make a lot of money. Well, don't do that. But they probably were trying to make a splash in a barbecue market, and it came back to bite them.
Absolutely did. Anyway, we're not here to talk about random Hawaiian food promotions in in Kansas City. Let's get to some of the things that are a little bit more salient here in the world of college athletics, including the news that there's been a unanimous approval to expand NCAA basketball tournament to 76 teams. We didn't need 68, probably. We all got used to it. I don't know that we need 76. Hopefully sooner than later, you're calling Runnin' Utes basketball in the tournament again. But what do you think of 76 teams?
Not a fan. I'm not. I didn't like 68. I thought 64 was a great number. Again, nobody that's in those last 8, going from 68 to 76, nobody in those last 8 teams is going to win the NCAA tournament. We know this. That means you're going to have to win 7 games instead of 6 games probably because you're going to be in some crazy little play-in tournament to get into it. I think it's unnecessary, Sean. Now, I know we're going to probably pivot to the football side of things in a second. It's not the end of the world. It's probably going to save some coaches' jobs because they can say, hey, we got into the tournament. And you know what? If Utah's one of those last 8 teams in this year, I'll be thrilled because I'll be calling NCAA tournament basketball. I just don't think it was needed. But somebody at a television network somewhere probably wanted it. It's probably going to add an extra $15, $17 million to the purses and the coffers, and so it's done. I just don't think it's needed myself. What about you?
I don't need it. I don't love it. I don't want it. It is exactly what you said it was. It's a money grab, and that is what college sports are all about right now. That's what sports in general are all about right now. And I guess that's just the way it's got to be. And, I'll watch whatever we call them. I'll watch those games, the first four, the first eight now, the first four, the week 0-4, however we decide to term them. Speaking of week 0, are you in favor of the scheduling changes proposed by the AFCA?
Yeah, you're talking about moving week 1 back to week 0? I am.
Start the
I
season
like
earlier and the season earlier. There's a push. They want the season to be done by the second Monday in January.
Frankly, I'd love the season to end by New Year's Day and play all of your big games right around that or right after that. But yes, I am. We're jonesing for football. Just back camp up a week, so you're starting in second to last week of July instead of the last week of July. I don't think anybody will be upset with that, except maybe a coach who's having to cut his trip to Hawaii or Mexico shorter to get back. But I'm for it. I like it, and I like the fact that, because it looks like we're going to probably expand the playoffs again. You probably begin the playoffs a little bit earlier, maybe on what would have been that championship weekend in early December. I don't know, but no, I'm all for it. The sooner we can get college football rolling, I'm good with it.
That is one of the proposals as well. Get rid of conference championship games. Now, I know if you're going to expand the playoff and you're going to start that on whatever December 6th, it's necessary for the conference championship games to go away. The idea of getting rid of them is not my favorite. I'm here for any case that people want to make. Where are you on that argument?
I like the conference championship games because I think it's a good reward for having a great season. It also maybe gives you a chance to play your way in, like last year. Had it been Utah instead of BYU, but even BYU, had they been able to pull that upset, they could have earned their way into the playoff. I do like those games. I mean, if you said you're going to do away with them, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but I got to call a bunch of Pac-12 championship games, some that Utah won, some that they lost. They were good. They were fun, and it was great pageantry, and it kind of felt like the reward of a good season. But now is the playoff is at 12 and maybe expanding bigger, which I'm sure we'll talk about here. There's a chance that if you were going to play in that game anyway, you're probably going to be in that playoff and that next level. So I'm not. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I'm kind of like you. I kind of like those games, and maybe because I got a chance to call some.
Part of it for me really is how big are you going to make the field, and is there going to be an automatic threshold where the Big 12 gets 3 teams in your 24-team playoff or whatever? Because my fear is, if you get rid of conference championship games and you eliminate the opportunity to play your way into a playoff for that number 2 team in the Big 12 conference, and there isn't like an open door, then it's going to be a one-bid league. And on top of that, you're not a national championship contender if you're in the Big 12 right now. You're just not. And that sucks. But the pinnacle of your season right now, if you're Utah, if you're Texas Tech, if you're BYU, until we see somebody prove otherwise, the pinnacle of your season is not to say you made it to the college football playoff. It's to say that you won your conference. That's what you hang the banner for. That's what you get the championship ring for. Like, yay, it's great to make it into an expanded field, but the same thing with an expanded NCAA tournament. You're just like, all right, well, yeah, we're team number 74. We're team number 72. We're team number 22 in college football. That means you had a really good season. You're not a national championship contender if they're going 24 teams.
Here's your other problem too, Sean. What happens if you don't have your conference championship game and 2 teams finish with 10-2 records, and maybe they were each 7-1 or 7-2 in conference play, but they didn't play each other?
That's right. The conferences are too big now.
What are we going to the third common opponent, a team that you beat in September, to determine that you're the conference champion? And you know how I feel. I hate co-champions. I just ties, co-champions.
That's right.
I mean, I don't like it. So, I mean, if you're doing away with a conference championship game, there's going to be, maybe not every year, but every few years. I hate a formula, and a third tiebreaker to determine who the conference champion is. Conference champions should be determined on the court, on the field, if that makes sense.
It worked well to not have a conference championship game when you had 8 and 10 team conferences and everyone got to play each other. Now that you've got 18 teams and 16 teams in these conferences, you are invariably going to run into a situation where 2 of the 3 best teams did not play against one another, and you're relying on convoluted tiebreakers to name a conference champion. I mean, we already were relying on those things to get people into a conference championship game. If then you leave it to the coin flip to decorate a conference champion, that is unsatisfying in a lot of different ways.
Do you mean when the Big Ten actually had 10 teams and the Big 8 actually had 8 teams and the Pac-10 actually had 10 teams, right?
Yeah, that's the fact that we still use the numbers is actually one of the dumbest things. It's one of the silliest things that we do. The Big 12 has 12 teams. Oh, no, of course not.
Well, in the day and age where we are rebranding everything and putting corporate sponsorships on them, it's amazing to me that the Big 10 and the Big 12 and some of these leagues don't, the Atlantic Coast Conference, there are 2 schools that literally sit on the Pacific Ocean. Why are you calling yourself the Atlantic Coast Conference? The only one that makes any sense is the SEC. And even that you could kind of stretch because they've got schools in Texas and Oklahoma.
That's right.
We just need to again, we're probably going to get to a super conference at some point in time that will have, they're going to have Capital One Super Conference on it or whatever it might happen to be. But, yeah, the fact that these conference commissioners haven't sold their rights and just rebranded these things is amazing to me.
All right. I love a list. And ESPN put out a list about the most important newcomer at each Power 4 school. For Utah, they decided that the most important newcomer on the roster was Kelvin Obat. And they make a nice case in the little blurb. I think we could make the same case, but he's not the only guy you can make a case for. Is Kelvin Obat the most important newcomer on the Utah roster? And if not, who is it?
It's hard to say right now. I don't think he's definitively the most important. I think he could certainly play a very important role on that offensive line. I think you could make a case for Braden Pagan, wide receiver, being the most on a team that has not had big play wide receivers consistently. This guy seems to have the makings and the markings of potentially being a big play wide receiver. So I would put him on that list as a potential, important newcomer. I don't think it's a super long list, Sean. I don't. You might say maybe it's Cedric Jefferson, the kid from Montana State. Maybe it's him. I'm trying to think on the defensive side. I don't know that there's a guy that you're going to look at and say this guy is going to be an immediate impact, can't miss guy. Could be one of the corners that plays opposite of Scooby Davis, but we'll see. But I think for me, it would be Obat or Pagan. What about you?
Pagan was what was the next name that came to mind for me, for sure. I think that who's the North Texas kid that transferred, the DN kid?
Ethan Day.
Ethan Day could be on that list, that short list. Kyrie Scholl's also another wide receiver. So, yeah, I mean, and of course, the sexiest one is the 5-star highest-rated recruit in program history, and he is going to play, it sounds like. I don't think he's going to play tackle, though, and guards are important, but they're not as important as tackles are.
Well, that's what I mean, and you're part of a 5-man unit. Now, if you're saying he's the starting left tackle, then I might say, okay, protecting the quarterback's blind side as a freshman, that's pretty important. But, yeah, when I talked to Jordan Gross and some of the coaches in spring, they were still kind of I'd be very surprised if he isn't one of the 5 guys. But, yeah, where he fits in that puzzle, I think, is what they were trying to figure out this spring and this summer. They'll have those 5 guys together. I think they know they've got 5 or 6 really good guys. I think they're just trying to figure out where those guys work best. Is that kind of the vibe you got when talking to some of the coaches?
Absolutely, yes. And that's the case almost always. Like, who's our best five? Positional versatility is something that this Utah program has valued in their offensive linemen for years, and even the guys who went on into the NFL this last year. Kump got signed as an undrafted free agent. He played every position on the offensive line. One of the reasons he has an NFL future potentially is because of that, right? So,
well, and two, Sean, if Obot does start inside, that doesn't mean next year or the year after he couldn't kick back outside to the tackle spot.
I think there's no chance he finishes as a guard, even if he starts as a guard. I believe that he is probably your future left tackle. That is a massive ask for a true freshman, even one as physically impressive as him. And especially when you have a 6'8" long-armed guy who's already played the position, who's a senior. Like, if there's no other option for you, and you're saying, all right, Kelvin, we're going to throw you into the deep end right away, but they have some options. Zeraway Williams is a good player.
I think you're talking about Zeraway Williams.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We might have seen Zeraway Williams playing sooner. Zeraway's had a lot of injuries throughout his career at the University of Utah. He's one of those guys where you're just hoping he can stay healthy and it all comes together for him, because he looks the part. As you just said, he's got the measurables. He just has to, your best skill sometimes is your availability. If he can stay healthy, I think Utah's got a really good left tackle. And to your point, he's been in the program 5 years. He's played, but he's been around high-level college football and been with those guys. So, yeah, so if he ends up being the left tackle and, say, Kelvin Obot, again, this is all speculative, ends up being your left guard in year one, I don't think that's a bad thing for Utah at all.
Not at all. All right, we're up against it here. The conversation with Bill Riley is brought to you every week here by Handy and Handy Law Firm. Tell the folks what they need to know about Handy Law Utah.
Well, if you get run over by somebody as big as Zeraway Williams or Kelvin Obot, you might need a personal injury. Not those two guys in particular, but somebody of their size. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're walking down the street and somebody just runs you over. Well, you need somebody to represent you because you're probably going to have some medical bills. They may have been at fault. You want somebody who's looking out for your best interest. And that's what the guys at Handy and Handy do. Garrett and Preston Handy are awesome attorneys, great guys, and they've been in business for a long time. They got almost 50, I think maybe more than 50 years of experience now. Math is hard. They've been doing it a long time combined. They're just really, really good. And they're going to sit down with you or somebody in your family that needs the help and represent your interests and needs to the way you need them to be. So I hope nobody out there ever has to call them, because that means you haven't been in an accident or haven't suffered some sort of a happenstance in your life. But if you do, you want somebody who can fight for you and get the job done, and that's what the guys at Handy Law Utah can do.
801-890-4729, or, of course, handylawyutah.com. Great talking to you, Bill. Thanks for your time.
We'll talk some food next week. See ya.
Bill Riley, voice of the Utes and occasional fill-in host here on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's hilarious that I say that because, of course, I took over from Bill. He was on the radio for like 20 years. Every once in a while, he gets to fill in for me. Hot Lunch is next, and Patrick and Michelle are here. We'll tell you what's going on at Big Willie's, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Oh, my mouth is watering for the hot lunch from Big Willie's, 1717 South Main, craft food menu, drink specials, cold beers on draft, the #1 pool hall in Utah. And James Peterson, he complained enough about not getting enough food that now Patrick and Michelle, when they come down, they bring 2 lunch specials because you're just that kind of a spot.
Phil, he just looks through the window and watches you eat, and
Yeah.
he just has this Eeyore vibe going on when you're doing it.
That's
so
exactly
you
right.
want him to be happy.
Well, shut up, James. This is my food. I got tots. You also brought fries and a crispy chicken wrap, also a steak salad wrap. Yes.
Yeah, it's it's summertime's coming. We're gonna be hanging out at the pools. I just figured we'd bring some offerings that show the lighter side of our food menu.
All right.
With the crispy chicken wrap. It comes with a homemade jalapeno cilantro dressing. And then any of our salads can be turned into wraps. So if you don't want to eat it with a fork, you can eat it in a wrap with your hands.
You can also eat a salad with your hands if you want to look like some kind of strange barbarian, but
You might get cut off if you start doing that.
don't serve that guy any more drinks. He's eating his salad with his fingers. All right. Don't do that. Go down to Big Willie's. Take advantage of the lunch special. A big weekend coming up. You got NBA playoffs. You've got NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And there's a big UFC card this weekend.
Yeah, I think the UFC is going to be pretty big. Those guys are not liking each other.
Khamzat Chimaev is probably right now the best fighter on the planet. He hasn't accomplished enough. He hasn't won as many belts or defended belts the same way that guys that, out there have. But if you were putting everyone in the world in a room and saying, it's one-on-one combat, let's see who comes out of here, I think until you get to the big boy heavyweights, I think that he's beaten pretty much anyone. He is scary, and he's taking on Sean Strickland this weekend, who is one of the strangest, craziest, most chaotic people on the planet.
Yeah, that guy just likes chaos.
Yeah, so that should be a really fun fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. And if you haven't been down on a UFC night, it's really awesome. We have 9 TVs, so anywhere you sit, you're going to see the fight. We'll have the sound on. Prelims start at 6. If you want to see those guys, main card starts at 8. But yeah, it's a $5 cover to come in. It's cheap drinks.
I think I'm going to come down and watch that after I put the kids to bed because, it's like watching a fight like that, watching a big fight night in your living room, it's great. But it's even better if you're there and you're feeling the energy of a crowd. The best is obviously being in person at the fights, but one that big, I think I got to come down and watch.
Yeah, you should come down. Bring the wife.
Just leave the kids asleep. Yeah.
Rocky can babysit.
Yeah, we have a very large dog. He's like on Peter Pan, was that dog's name? Nana? Just let the dog take care of the kids.
Yeah.
That's
the worst that could happen.
No one will call the police on us if that's the case. Okay, so what else we have going on? Because it's Friday night. Saturday is when the UFC card is happening. You got playoff games both nights, obviously.
We got playoff games, and then in the following weeks, we just have our normal lineup, bingo, trivia. On May 23rd, though, we're doing a RSL watch party against Minnesota United. We're giving away 2 tickets to World Cup.
Ooh.
And that game will be on June 18th.
You're giving away World Cup tickets?
Yeah, 2.
Like a game in the World Cup?
Actual World Cup game tickets.
Like where?
Raffle. What? It's going to be in, they're for Inglewood, so it's close. It's Switzerland versus Bosnia-Herzegovina.
I was looking at tickets for this exact game yesterday because my wife, thankfully she doesn't listen to the show, my wife is a big soccer fan. She played college soccer, and I was like, man, I should buy her a nice Mother's Day present. I should get her some World Cup tickets. And then I looked at USA Panama, which is in L.A., and I was like, I'm not paying $2,000 for the worst seat in the stadium. But the Switzerland, Bosnia-Herzegovina ones are a little bit easier to get. So, hey, I'm going to have to come down for the raffle.
And it's at 2:30, so you don't even have to stay out late. You can come down, hang out.
Perfect.
Get a raffle ticket.
I love
Cross
it.
your fingers.
I love it.
Yeah, so it should be fun.
Is it frowned upon to manipulate odds in my favor because we're longtime friends and now partners as you're the presenting sponsor of the show?
Let me draw the numbers. We can discuss that.
Look, we know that the NBA draft lottery is rigged. We know
We'll
the
keep your
NHL
ticket
draft
in
lottery.
the freezer, and I'll
Yeah.
just look for the cold one.
The frozen ticket?
The frozen ticket.
Controversy at Big Willie's in the World Cup raffle. It'd be perfect.
I mean, I was going to ask you the same thing for the Lagoon giveaway for the Funnel Cake Festival because I love funnel cake.
If all you had to do was tell me how much you love funnel
I know.
cake, and we could have made that happen.
I just hang out at Pioneer Village the whole time, just engulfing funnel cake.
And just staying dressed in character for the old timey Western photos.
I leave after the photo. I don't change my clothes. I just walk around the town.
Sir, could you please give us the cowboy hat back? Just let me live. Sir, you cannot get on the Colossus wearing the Pioneer Village chaps. I'm sorry. Let's go take a picture together.
Yeah, let's do it. You like funnel cake?
Yes. I love funnel cake. And I love that now we've expanded the offerings of funnel cakes. When we were kids, it was powdered sugar on a funnel cake, and that was good. Maybe even good enough, you might say. Now they got cherry pie filling. They've got apples. They've got like fancy confits and fruit compotes and all this type of stuff. Extra whipped cream, peaches and cream.
Yeah, maybe strawberry syrup. That's as far as I'd go.
Oh, you're a purist now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In any case, Big Willie's is the spot for you this weekend and any weekend. Poker on Sunday as well?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Get down there on Friday. Get down there Saturday for the UFC fights. Go down Sunday, play a little bit of poker. And if you can't make it during the weekends, it's a great spot for a weekday lunch, for a weekday dinner. Go grab a table and watch the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, and anything else that's going on.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. No, appreciate it.
Thanks
Have a
for the
good
hot lunch.
James.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, James. No crying anymore, James. Yeah, that's what I should
That's
say
what
to
you
you.
always. That's what he always told me.
Yeah.
Now Gordy can tell me every time.
That
I
drop
love
from
it.
that drop from Gordy Chase is actually just him quoting me every time James is like, "Could I have a few bites of your lunch?" Get your own freaking chicken, James.
That's a good soundbite.
Head down to Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. That's the hot lunch. Up next, Roxy Bernstein to talk a little NHL playoffs. I also want to pick his brain about the changes proposed in college football. We'll get to all of it next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Hyundai Studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Sean O'Connell Show here on a Friday. We're lucky enough to welcome in our guy, Roxy Bernstein, talk a little NHL playoff, maybe some potential changes in the college world. Who knows? The Utah Mammoth season is over, as you're hyper aware, and I wonder if you have any thoughts now that we're in the post-mortem, we're all digesting kind of how it went, on pace with what we think the growth of this franchise is supposed to be. But you get to look at it from the outsider's view to some extent.
Look, it was a huge step forward for this organization to get to the postseason, to get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here in year two, they did it. They were close last year and fell shy. But they were able to break through this year, and this promising young core was able to get a taste of what the Stanley Cup playoffs are like. But at the same time, when you're sitting there knowing you had a lead in that, an opportunity there in Game 4, right? That you're right there, you tied it, then you took the lead late in the third period, only to see Vegas tie it and win the game in overtime, and the heartbreak of losing, Game 5 in double overtime. But it shows you how close this team is. And this was a significant step in their building process. And now the chore for Bill Armstrong and Chris Armstrong, the front office, and for Andre Tourigny is, okay, what do they need to do to take that next step? A lot of talent's coming, and you have to determine, all right, is T.J. Ginla going to be ready? Where does Simashev spot in, et cetera, Desnoyers? But it's clear that this organization is headed in the right direction. And this year, even though there's the frustration of losing to Vegas in 6, was a significant step forward.
Those forward steps are fascinating, right? Because you talk to people in, high-level sport, no matter what the sport is, and getting there is one thing, staying there is tougher. Getting to the top and staying at the top are two different things. Getting to the playoffs and winning series in the playoffs and becoming a real championship contender, I mean, there's actually a pretty significant gap between those milestones. And you've got your core locked in, right? So this team the roster is going to remain relatively constant from its top two lines in a lot of situations, your most important defensive pairings. All these people are under contract and figured out. It's a lot of accessory pieces, but we've seen the importance of those accessory pieces, again, in every sport, but especially as we're learning hockey. Man, sometimes you need 10 good minutes out of Spicy Tuna, or you need Kerfoot or Tanev or some of these guys, and that seems to be where a lot of the roster questions are for this team. When you look at the contenders right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs, how many of them are driven kind of in a sneaky way by those, non-mainline guys?
You need to have those depth pieces. And you're going to have injuries during the course of a season. It's just the nature of the beast in the NHL. And a lot of times in the playoffs, it's a war of attrition. Who's healthy enough? Who is ready to go? And then your depth comes into question. And that's, I think, something that needs to be addressed in terms of that second-level scoring. It's not just, getting goals and points from guys like Keller and Gunther and Schmaltz, and we know how critical they are to the team's success. But it's the depth pieces. You've signed Logan Cooley to a long-term contract. Okay, now what's going to happen as far as these young players? Will they be able to break the lineup? Can they provide that depth? Or do you need to go out and add to it? One thing I do think they need, and I don't think I'm telling anybody that doesn't follow the Mammoth that they don't know, is I think they need to get a little sandpaper. I think they need to get a little bigger physically, maybe on the third, fourth line, and add some pieces that will complement what you already have. You have a solid D-core. Maybe you could use another defenseman coming in. For example, Ian Cole's an unrestricted free agent, but you're locked in with guys like Sergachev and Uyghur, Dursey, John Marino, who I thought played very well in the playoffs. Nate Schmidt, who is a veteran piece as well. Is Simashev ready to make that jump? And if you determine he is not, okay, then what are you going to add to the D-core? And then how confident you are in a backup goalie, for example, with Vejmelka playing more minutes and more games than anybody in the league. Do you need to add a second goaltender? Because, Vanacek, I thought, had his inconsistencies this year. But now you're at the point, Sean, where you have your core in place. It's just what are you going to add to it, and what are those pieces? How can they complement what you already have?
There is some conversation about Bear Tourney, and in mid-season when you're slumping a little bit, there was apparently, a lot of real push to maybe make a change there, and then the team got the ship righted and made the playoffs and played well, at least for some of the moments in the playoffs. But good is the enemy of great in professional sports, and if he is just good, then you're going to have to make a change eventually. Your thoughts on Coach Bear and if he's the right guy to get them over the hump they need to get over?
I've certainly been impressed with what Andre does and the way he has had patience with this young group. And every year they've improved under his tutelage, right? You look at the succession rate. He's been the head coach of the Mammoth and previously in Arizona for 5 years. Each season they have improved. And that's I don't think you can overlook that and take it for granted. But we also know that I don't know how comfortable coaches will feel in the NHL. For example, look what happened late in the season, right? Vegas all of a sudden gets rid of Bruce Cassidy. They bring in Torts, and John Tortorella leaves us to go to the Vegas Golden Knights and takes over for the last 9 games and has them in the playoffs. And you saw it also with the Islanders where with even less time left in the season, they hired Pete DeBoer. It's unfortunately the life cycle of coaches can be very challenging, and it can be a harsh reality at times. And Andre Tourney, for the struggles that they had, and look, they had some key injuries, right? Logan Cooley missed a good chunk of time, and he wasn't the only one that was playing or trying to play banged up. They had a number of guys in and out of the lineup, which also you have to take into consideration. And I guarantee you that's what the front office looked at, but they also felt confident in the direction Andre Tourney had this thing going in. And then those final few weeks, they started to hit their stride. They made their push. They locked up the number 1 wild card spot, and they were ahead 2-1 in this series. I think it was a tremendous growth and learning season. Now you're looking for that next step, and can you get into the top 3 of the Central, which is going to be difficult considering how loaded Dallas is, what Minnesota has, certainly with Colorado. St. Louis made a push with a strong post-Olympic break run that they made. Winnipeg made a step forward after they got that off to that horrific start. You get the sense the Blackhawks are going to make a jump as well next year. They're in the toughest division in hockey. I don't think anybody can debate that. But are they ready to make that next jump? And I think that's what they have to determine.
Roxy Bernstein here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking a little hockey here on a Friday. Connor McDavid was talking about how Edmonton has to stay ahead of the pace. And obviously that's a franchise that's had a lot of success as of late. But, he mentioned Utah. He talked about Anaheim. He mentioned the San Jose Sharks, and they get the number 2 pick this week. They won their draft lottery. They had a 5% chance at going number 2, and they capitalized on the 5% chance. They will select 2, which you know better than I. That's now 4 years in a row they've drafted in the top 4, and more importantly, they've selected well, and it seems like that is going to translate into on-ice results sooner than later with San Jose. So I love where Utah is at, but staying with the curve or ahead of the curve, easier said than done.
And that's the thing is, look, Anaheim was out of the playoffs for 8 years, and they made it back, and here they are 1-1 with Vegas in round 2. And they bring in a coach like Joel Quenneville. They shuffle their roster, bring in some key veterans who have been contributors for them. And there's a rebirth in that franchise. And luckily, the Pacific Division right now is really down, right? Vegas doesn't seem to be as dominant as they were in years past. Yes, they won a series, but right now you're seeing, I think, some holes in what Vegas has, and Anaheim is explosive the first couple of games of the series. Even though it's 1-1 going to Anaheim, to me the Ducks have been the better team in each of the 2 games, but Carter Hart stole game 1 of that series. But Anaheim's a team on the come, and the Pacific Division is there for the taking. And that's what San Jose, as you talked about, they lucked into the 2nd pick, and they certainly have hit on the picks that they have made so far. And that's an organization right now that was in desperate need, and here they are. And the biggest blessing for them, Sean, as crazy as it sounds, was them not making the playoffs. Because if they had made it, they were going to be wild card 2, and we saw what happened to the LA Kings, who were swept by the Avs in round 1. More than likely, that would have happened in San Jose, maybe the Sharks would have gotten a game and it was a 5-game series. But it benefited the organization by missing the playoffs, getting into the lottery, and now they're going to pick second. And they need some defense help. It's clear. Will that direction they go? I think Mike Grier has opened options, whether it's to trade the pick. But there are teams in there making the move now in the Western Conference. San Jose, Anaheim, I put them right there with Utah as teams that are ascending.
What's going to happen in Toronto with Austin Matthews? Does the Leafs getting the number 1 pick kind of calm his concerns that he doesn't have the help that he needs?
Well, they certainly lost a lot by Mitch Marner leaving, right? And they just weren't able to replace it. The injuries to Matthews this year, Nylander, clearly didn't help. But with Toronto, it's such a tough market and a tough read. Now they have a change in management, and John Checketts comes in as the GM, and Matt Sundin, the Leaf great, will be his advisor. I just don't know how you can move Matthews. Forget the contract, right? But here is your franchise. This is your captain. And, yeah, there's some disgruntlement right now, I think, from both sides. But getting the number 1 pick, and if you do happen to add Gavin McKenna, or do you take somebody else like Stenberg, for example, with the number 1 pick, how does that change the dynamic there with the Leafs? It's just a hard player to move. It's easier said than done. And the same thing because McDavid has 1 more year, right, in that deal. If you were going to move him if you were the Oilers, how do you do it? How do you trade the best player in the game? We've seen it done, but it's easier said than done, and it's very challenging to navigate that. That's what the Leafs have to deal with. Look, Matthews isn't the best player in the game. He is one of the elite players, though, and that's what Edmonton has to deal with now with the frustration of losing in the first round, but the Oilers were just so beat up, I think, going into that series with Anaheim.
Yeah, we've seen the best player in the game moved in the past, and it was Edmonton who did it. Now,
yeah, that's true.
It worked out nicely for them winning a cup a couple of seasons later, but I don't know that you'd be able to convince a modern-day sports fan that that's the right move in any situation.
You know what? Looking back on that trade from the late 80s, Sean, it changed the complexion of the entire game, right? Okay, yes, it stunk for the Oilers. As you alluded to, they did win another cup when you trade the great one. But Wayne Gretzky going to L.A. opened up so many new franchises, I think including Utah, that eventually, the snowball kept going because you had the birth not shortly thereafter of Anaheim, San Jose, the West Coast all of a sudden, the Winnipeg Jets moved to Phoenix, and, of course, the Coyotes then moved to Utah. But now you have Vegas, you have Seattle, all these teams, even Dallas, I think the Stars coming from Minnesota, it was all opened by that deal and opened up more eyes to the NHL and with Wayne Gretzky's trade to the LA Kings.
It's wild, the butterfly effect that something like that can have. Have you seen anything through these Stanley Cup playoffs so far that convinces you anyone can take out a red-hot Colorado Avalanche team?
I'm curious to see the response from the Wild now that they're going home. And Colorado, they put up 9 goals in Game 1, and now they're up 2-0 going to St. Paul. That's been interesting to watch, and I'm anxious to see how the Wild respond on home ice because they've got to win Game 3. If you get down 3-0, there's no chance you're coming back against the Colorado Avalanche. I'm sorry. And then you look at the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs. What a scene it was in Buffalo last night, with the Sabres back in the postseason and beating Montreal. Carolina has been dominant, which has been a bit surprising, to be honest. I thought they'd get tested somewhat, and they haven't yet. At some point, they're going to have to deal with some adversity in the playoffs, and when the Canes do, let's see it. But I just don't see anybody in the Western Conference knocking off Colorado, and to me, I think we're headed for a Carolina-Colorado Stanley Cup final.
Switching gears slightly, the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, made some proposals. They want a schedule change. They want to get rid of conference championship games and do some other things. We'll start there, though. Are you in favor of letting conference championship games go back by the wayside?
I'm okay with it, Sean, because I hate seeing it's happened where teams that don't make the conference championship benefit from not playing in it. And teams that play in it have to suffer the consequences if they lose that championship game. And I don't feel that's fair. And look, we all know why they play these conference championship games. Sean, it's a money grab, right? That's what it is. And it's like the conference tournaments in basketball. To me, I've always valued the regular season championship more than the conference tournament championship. And if you win the regular season of a college football conference, I think that's better than just winning one game because you've been the more consistent team over the course of 2.5, 3 months. I'm okay with it, especially, look, we know playoff expansion will be coming, and to have these kids play one less game, I'm cool with it. So we want to dial back these conference championship games. I'm with it.
I don't know if the Roxy Bernstein baseball schedule allows for week 1 to move into week 0 or whatever, but that's what the coaches want. Start the season a little bit earlier, end it by the second Monday in January. I think it's a move in the right direction. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like more time for the players' bodies to recover, and if you put in a second bye week, for example, in the regular season, which we've seen from time to time, I think it works. Where week 0 previously, right, it was teams that essentially played the University of Hawaii. they were able to play in week 0 and then get the exemption to play that week. I'm all for it. Look, we just stay with the 12-game regular season, and then the playoff expansion, which is coming, whether we go to 16 or 24, we will see. But I think it's critical that we get the best teams and you find the best matchups and the intrigue and not penalize teams, for example, playing in that conference championship game. And if they have an extra bye week to rest and get players healthy, that means they might be fresher come the end of the season. I'm good with that.
The transfer portal seems to be a thing that these coaches, and I know we went down to the single window this year, but these coaches want to get a lot of other stuff out of the way so that they can rebuild their roster there. And I'm all for, again, ending the season a couple weeks earlier, letting college football be done, even on New Year's Day, would be fine with me. The fact that the transfer portal, which wasn't even a thing 6 years ago, 7 years ago, now is so influential in everything in college football. Do we know if this is good or bad for the sport yet?
I don't think we know. We're all just sticking our toe in the water right now and trying to figure out, okay, is this a way we can get this cleaned up? And is this the best path forward for us? And look, I do think that the transfer portal window is right now the abbreviated model that we have, which you just alluded to, is better. Is it the best step forward? I think time will only tell, because clearly what was happening before was not the best method for everybody involved. Now you have more concise guidelines, and that's the only way this thing is going to get back to where it should be. And the government says, we're going to chime in and try to do this and try to, this is what we want to do. We want to try to clean this up here. We'll see if that actually happens. For years, the schools, the coaches, they were in control. Now the players seem to have all the control, and that's a significant way the pendulum has swung to the other side. Somehow we got to try to get in the middle where it benefits both sides and not just one over the other.
All right, last thing I promise. Do you, the jack of all trades and master of every single one, do you have the bandwidth to pay attention to the NBA draft lottery coming this weekend as well?
I only pay attention to it, Sean, because I see a lot of the players in the regular season covering as much college basketball as I do. So, like, for example, getting to see the standouts from Arizona. I had Michigan this year. So I got to see these players that go high in the draft. So that's the only reason why I pay attention to it. As you know, there's the bandwidth I have. I really don't follow the NBA as closely as I used to, just because I can't. Between right now, fair. I'm dialed in on Major League Baseball, the Stanley Cup playoffs, college baseball, which I'm getting ready for conference championships, and then I'm doing 2 rounds of the postseason, the regionals and supers. So I have to be dialed in there. Major League Baseball, which I have my first 2 MLB games coming up this weekend. So at some point, and I do have a family, I do have a life, Sean, which people may not know.
How dare you?
My daughter's coming home from school, finishing her freshman year at TCU, so she's home tomorrow. So I do have to try to find some way, have some semblance of balance. So the NBA kind of goes by the wayside for me. Like, if you ask me right now what's going on with the NBA playoff series, I really couldn't tell you, especially living here in the Bay Area once the Golden State Warriors were eliminated in the play-in.
I think it's fair. I think it's all right for you to have like one tiny blind spot. You know what I mean? We'll let you off the hook on that one, Roxy. I love talking to you, man. Love picking your brain. Thanks so much for giving us some time. Enjoy the weekend. Keep having the great calls, and we'll chat again soon, all right?
Anytime, brother. Talk to you soon, OC.
That's Roxy Bernstein. You will not find anyone in the business more knowledgeable or better at the gig than him. He is an asset. He is an absolute dream, and he's a good friend. Lots more to get to here on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. The truck with the duck handles anything you need done with your ventilation systems, with your cooling, with your heating, and, of course, with the plumbing. You got that leaky faucet, the toilet that keeps running. Why don't you go catch it? Remember that old joke?
Well, then you better go catch it. That was
Daily
French
Dump
version.
Okay, we have to bite down on this. You heard it in James Peterson's update. Darren Peterson, James's cousin.
Yeah, long-lost cousin, Darren.
He told ESPN that creatine caused his cramping.
We've been very concerned about him as a family.
Over 200 studies have confirmed that creatine supplementation does not increase the risk of muscle cramps. In fact, what creatine does is it pulls water into the muscles, which means it's more likely to prevent cramping than to hurt cramping. Darren, are you telling us the truth?
So he is, just for context, the beginning of this article by Ramona Shelburne on ESPN.com says that a new round of blood work and other tests following the college basketball season led his doctors to conclude that high doses of creatine created the condition. Just for context, I'm not sure I believe it either, though.
You know what high doses of creatine do cause? Stomach upset, diarrhea, or bloating.
Stomach cramps?
Was Darren Peterson really just having to miss all those games because he had the runs?
Ooh.
Is this a controversy that has not been... And Kansas wears home whites, right?
Well, it harkens back to another former Kansas great, Paul Pierce, in the NBA Finals.
Right?
Right? He was wearing the Celtics home whites.
Maybe we've gotten to the bottom, literally the bottom of Darren Peterson's absence. Maybe that's why Bill Self was getting so frustrated. He wanted to say, he's just got poopy pants. Get out there and play, kid.
Wear it. Put some Depends in your pants and play.
NIL's a real thing, man. You know how much money you could get out of Depends if you're just like, I wear these in order to help me play basketball.
The only cost to you is your shame. That's your only cost.
Your personal dignity?
I mean,
is it?
I mean, Rafael Palmeiro, in his prime with the Texas Rangers, was doing Viagra commercials. So, I mean, guys have done stuff like that for a good amount of endorsement money.
Jimmy Johnson, he's endorsed Depends. Deion Sanders has endorsed Depends.
I mean,
Jimmy Johnson also endorsed like those late night, you know what pills? Like it's just a bunch of random paid actors, and then Jimmy Johnson.
Johnson. How about the Doug Flutie, Frank Thomas testosterone commercials you see during basketball games?
I did not know this. Depends did something called the Great American Try-On campaign back in 2012 and 2013. DeMarcus Ware, Clay Matthews, and Wes Welker were all paid to test Depends Real Fit for Men.
Wow. And Emmitt Smith has been an endorser of Depends recently, too. Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be the first one, Darren. It's fine.
You know who Lisa Rinna is? Soap opera actress?
I don't.
Just a very important formative crush of my young years. Okay. Because my mom used to watch the soap operas.
Yeah.
And Lisa Rinna, I can't remember what the character.
You pretended you hated it, but you're like, I am tuned in.
Who's this?
I am tuned in.
This show sucks. Who is that lady? Lisa Rinna, she endorsed Depends. That actually kills me, man. I don't like that one bit. But anyway, there you have it.
By the way,
Darren Peterson, we got to the bottom of it. He says creatine. He was taking too much creatine. The cramps he was having were bowel cramps. He was feeling gastric distress.
That's the official Sean O'Connell show theory.
Yes.
It's not what he said in the article, to be clear. But it's the official Sean O'Connell show theory.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, James, please.
Just making sure, we're not completely deceiving our audience too much here.
The NFL has reached a deal with its Referees Association. They're ratifying a new 7-year CBA. No replacement refs will be used, thank goodness. And I say thank goodness more because I care about the quality of reffing in college football. And the replacement refs that the NFL would use would be like it all runs downhill, or in this case, uphill. If the college referees are the best ones available, they go ref NFL games, and then high school refs are doing college games, and then Little League refs are doing high school games, and then like random parents are doing Little League games.
Can you imagine if Todd Newcomb was reffing college games? How terrible would that be?
I actually think that would be awesome.
Actually, it'd be really
Todd is a dedicated referee. He's a serious referee.
He is.
You know how serious he is about it? He changes his physical appearance.
He does.
He shaves his mohawk during football season because he knows
needs to be professional.
He knows that if he's the guy out there with the like orange mohawk refereeing a high school football game, some yahoo parents just gonna be like, that guy doesn't know anything about football.
Whenever he misses a call, which he never misses calls, Todd Newcomb, he never misses calls. But whatever he might, if he's the one with the blue hair mohawk, they're gonna know that it's gonna be even worse for him. So I gotta probably a good move by him.
Next time I see Todd, I gotta ask him what he would think about having like in-game feedback from some all-seeing eye.
Yeah,
like the Major League Baseball umpires have. I'm gonna ask him about that next time I see him. Anyway, significant raises for the officials. No financial terms have been disclosed as of yet. Somebody will dig that up. More formal off-season training programs with refs while players are doing mini camps and training camp and joint practices. The refs will use those opportunities to hone their craft as well. The NFL has agreed that they're going to help bring up more officials, add to the pool. And the NFL will have greater latitude to use performance metrics for postseason assignments rather than seniority. Yes! This is an important change. Your merit determines whether or not you get to do the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Not just, I'm the same guy who's been here for 40 years, so I get to call the Super Bowl. Screw that.
Implied, the implied I'm good at this because I have to be good at this because I've been doing it for so long. Yeah, let's actually have some proof of how well you're doing in order to get the best assignments. Yeah.
James, have you hurt yourself playing with your son yet? Have you injured yourself?
Not yet, other than the occasional stepping on one of his like sharp toys, but not anything serious. No.
Yeah, he's probably getting tall enough now that the groin shots are coming. All right, that's gonna happen.
Is there a company that has that makes cups that I can endorse?
Actually, it actually depends. They have a lightly padded dad's underwear. Dude, we just came up with $1 billion product on air.
Absolutely.
Doesn't have to be like a steel, like the cup I use for my like training practice for fight stuff is literally steel. You tie it on with laces. It's a Muay Thai cup.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be that.
No, something a lot more comfortable.
Just something more comfortable. All right.
Softer.
Just a little quadruple padded pouch up there for you. Not a bad idea. We just
Do you know anyone who can manufacture such a thing so that we can start making money off this?
We could find someone.
Okay. Hey, 877-353-0700.
If you own a sweatshop, 877-353-0700, let us know.
For no reason in particular. We just want to know.
Matthew Boyd, Cubs pitcher Matthew Boyd, had surgery on a torn meniscus. He did not hurt himself pitching or playing baseball. He hurt himself playing with his kids.
Oh, man.
Tore his knee. That sucks.
That's terrible.
That's just – and by the way, it's just part of life. Sometimes freak accidents happen. I hope he doesn't get made fun of for it because, playing with your kids is a noble pursuit. It's more important than playing for the Cubs. So I applaud him for,
do not shame this man, Cubs teammates.
He's being a good dad. He just it hurt his arm. It hurt his knee.
And
sucks.
That really sucks. And if you are going to shame him, Matthew Boyd, you better be ready to throw a zinger back like, hey, well, at least I know my kids.
messed up, actually.
And then they
And
go
then
to blows.
yeah, I know my kids too. That's it. I play with them all the time, and I don't hurt myself. That's what I'm making fun of you for. Oh, sorry. I made assumptions. Anyway, Matthew Boyd, he's out for a while on a meniscus surgery repair. I mentioned
really
this
unfortunate.
with Bill Riley. The Hawaiian Bros restaurant in Kansas City offered a promotion where you get a free plate lunch, a free meal, every time the Royals score 6 runs in a home game.
Just this season?
Yeah.
And we're not even through May? We're not even 2 months in?
They've canceled the promotion. They've altered the promotion. Now it's buy one, get one free, which, by the way, is still a generous offer.
Yeah, but at least they're making some money.
And by the way, the implication when a restaurant gives you some kind of, hey, come get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich, the reason they do that is to get you to show up at Chick-fil-A.
Well,
and then you're going to buy a drink. You're going to buy, they want you to buy more. Apparently at Hawaiian Bros, people were just like, yep, I'll take my free plate lunch, please, because that's how Hawaiian plate lunches are. Everything's there.
Yeah,
you don't need to get the sides.
I'll just drink water at home, thank you.
Exactly.
I don't need your soda.
Hawaiian Bros. I love that you're trying to do a promotion with the team, with the community. This is great. These are fantastic. 6 runs, first of all. You got to set the bar higher than that. They gave away $700,000 worth of free plate lunches. That is a lot of money that is not coming into the business.
You're absolutely the one if the Lakers miss 2 free throws in the fourth quarter and you're at a Jazz game and you get the free Chick-fil-A sandwich, you're absolutely the one. They're like, no, I don't need a drink. I don't need fries. I just want my sandwich. Aren't
That's
you?
right.
Yeah.
100%. Sir, would you like a frosted Diet Coke or whatever? No, that costs money. I'm just here for the free sandwich.
Wait, hold on. Is the Diet Coke... Do I get that free too? Because LeBron sucks at free throws.
Here's a dumb question. It used to be, you would use your ticket stub. You'd go show them the back of your ticket.
Right. Now you redeem it in the app, I think.
Ah, okay.
I don't know if you put the ticket number, but you have to open up the app.
We got the airing of grievances coming up in 45 minutes. Maybe a little preview grievance here. The fact that you can't get a paper ticket anymore, grievance.
I mean,
it drives me nuts.
Well, we were talking about, where my mind went yesterday when you were talking about how leagues and big events get a piece of the resale on the secondary market.
Yeah.
My mind was going, well, there's a way around this, right? But then I was like, there's no paper tickets. You can't just print them out and then sell them not on an online website, so the league or the event doesn't get the extra 15% for it. So I don't know, or unless you can text people, you can transfer people's tickets via text, not without necessarily selling them. Maybe you're like, you got to give me cash, and I will text you the link.
Yeah, you could do that.
I guess that's the workaround if you don't want the greedy World Cup organizers and FIFA to get any more money.
People that you actually know, it's easy to send them tickets.
Yeah.
Or sell them tickets. If you're just trying to put them out into the market,
because that's the best, most likely way to make some money. Yeah.
You have to either reduce your price or just expect the person on the other end to pay. Like if I want to sell you my tickets for $500 that I paid $250 for, I actually have to charge whatever, like $550 to get the $500 payout.
Yeah.
And then on the app, you're actually paying $600 because you're paying that percentage again on the seller and buyer are both paying a percentage. Not good.
Not good.
Not good. All right. Johnny Football. When's the last time you worried about him, James? Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. When's the last time you thought about him?
Yeah, it's been a while. Didn't he have to skip out on a college game day appearance this year, and Alex Caruso had to fill in for him last minute? I think that's right. I think that's the last time I thought of it.
Well, May 23rd, which is a Saturday, at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, they're doing a boxing event, an influencer boxing event, and it's called Brand Risk Promotions. It's owned by some streamer or whatever. Johnny Manziel is boxing Bob Menery.
So should I know Bob Menery? I don't know.
Isn't Bob Menery the guy? He's like the fake announcer. He goes to like viral videos and does like sports announcing on viral videos, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it looks like that's it.
So Johnny Manziel has reached the point in his career arc where he is just doing anything he can for cash grabs. That sucks.
Yeah, play-by-play parodies. Yeah, that does suck. Although I don't know, like I said, don't know anything about Bob Menery, have not come across any of his stuff, but one of the top links in the Google search was the rise and fall of Bob Menery. So maybe this is
he's had a rise and fall. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, maybe this is depending on what's causing the fall. Maybe Johnny Boxing, like you've written down. Maybe he's just like, you know what? I'll do this just to punch Bob Menery. I hate the guy.
By the way, the influencer boxing is like, it's become huge. I think more in Europe than in the United States. In the UK, it was massive for a while. I think it still is. And I have no idea why people like this at all. I mean, I guess it's just an extension of the Jake Paul thing.
Yeah.
Where he was an internet celebrity. He was an influencer.
Influencer first. Yeah.
But the thing with Jake Paul is, whether you love him or hate him, and most people I think hate him and want to see him lose, Jake Paul has made himself into a professional boxer. He's a real professional boxer now. That's what he spends his time on. That is now his career.
Logan too, right? He's not as good, but he's done quite a bit of that, right?
Logan's more of a WWE wrestler now.
Oh, okay.
And they're both podcasters still, of course. But like Jake trains more than probably most fighters do because he doesn't have to work a job, right? Like every fighter I know, myself included, even on the climb to the highest levels, and some of us, when we made it to the highest levels, had other careers on the side. Now that's less common, but like everyone on their way up is also a bouncer, or they're driving for UPS, or they're doing something like that.
Doing radio.
And
maybe
Jake Paul doesn't have to do that, right? So he has made himself into a boxer. These other influencers, they're like streamers. They do this stuff. So they don't have like real regular 9-to-5 jobs. But obviously, if you watch any of their lowlights, they're not training twice a day like Jake Paul is training. So everyone's trying to do what he's doing, cash grab like he cash grabbed, but they're failing to recognize that like he made himself into an actual boxer. He manifested that career out of his previous career, and these other idiots are just like, they're still doing their Twitch streams or whatever, and then they show up and they box, and they are terrible at it. They're awful. The fights are awful. Nobody's actually getting knocked out because they're not good enough to knock each other out. It just sucks. You watch for 90 seconds while two people swing away, and then they're so tired for the rest of the fight that they're just like winding up, swinging one, missing, winding up, swinging one, landing. Everyone goes, ooh, nope, not powerful enough to knock anyone out. It's the worst. And this is what Johnny Manziel's getting involved in.
Be honest. How much do you want to be invited to do influencer boxing?
I honestly would not do it. Like, I am shameless, and I'm very like, you pay me and I'll do it.
You can tell I'm the OG influencer. I'm a radio host.
I'm an absolute hewer when it comes to things that you like. Will you do this for money? Sure. If they wanted me to fight Johnny Manziel on this card, I'd be like, I'm going to pass. I don't want to be part of like, if Jake Paul wanted to fight me, that's different. I would say yes to that now, but like,
you don't want to be part of a farce.
And I'll be a part of many farces, just not this version of a farce.
Not this one.
Like,
I'm just thinking. I thought maybe in the back of your mind you hear about these things and you're like, I could destroy everybody.
Well, I could,
and I could get all the money. Maybe I thought that might have been more enticing to you.
No, I mean, I got no beef with Johnny Manziel. I don't think I'd feel good making $10,000 to knock him unconscious in front of the world. He's got substance abuse problems, I don't want to make that worse.
Oh, you'd knock him unconscious, huh?
James. Come on. Come on. Someone with zero combat experience?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When was your last fight now?
It was New Year's Eve 2018.
It was the $1 million
That
fight,
was it. That
right?
was the last official fight.
But how often have you sparred since then?
I've sparred hundreds of times since then,
Yeah.
but
It's obviously not the same thing.
it's not
I know
consistent.
that. Yeah.
I haven't trained. I haven't trained in like 3 months at all.
I'm trying to gauge if you did take this, just how ready you might be, even though it is farcical.
It would honestly, something like this, you would not have to get ready for.
Yeah.
To fight
just
Jake,
show up.
To fight Jake Paul, you'd have to get very ready.
Yeah, like you said, he's turned himself a legitimate boxer.
To fight Johnny Manziel, if he walked in here right now, I would beat the brakes off him with like no problem, not having trained in a while.
I believe you.
It's just how things are. It's kind of like if you put me out there and you're just like, hey, I want you to guard Anthony Edwards. Just don't let him get to 7.
Yeah.
It's over in 18 seconds.
Anthony Edwards wouldn't have to work out to make sure he's ready to do that.
There's a better example would be like who's been retired from the NBA for 8 years. For lack of a bit, it's been longer than that, but like Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, like KG. Yeah.
KG, how much warm up would you have to do to beat me one-on-one? I promise you this, I have played a lot more basketball than Johnny Manziel has done fighting.
Yeah.
And I would be just as terrible at it. One of the funny things, and I've said this before on the air, one of the most hilarious things about combat sports is every athlete thinks they can do it because they're an athlete.
Yeah, because I'm in shape, and I've done some street brawling. I got this.
Everyone who's a football player or they all think they can fight because they're in shape, because they're big and strong. And yes, a big, strong person can probably win a fight against another inexperienced person who's not big and strong. But if you don't have the skill to play basketball, it's the same thing as not having the skill to fight. Like, you can throw anybody on a basketball court and say, try to throw the ball into the hoop. And they're going to their form's going to be bad. They're going to suck. They might get a ball in a hoop every now and again, but it's not going to look right.
You just described every shooting contest in the timeout games at Jazz games and other NBA games.
Go look it up. Speaking of, Conor McGregor at the height of his fame got to do something where he showed up with the New York Knicks, or maybe it was Boston. Maybe the Celtics brought him out because we were fighting at the Boston Garden. I was on one of these events, and they let him go on the parquet floor and let him. And they were like, here's a basketball. And he was trying to shoot a basketball. And you're like, oh, he's a great athlete. That's someone who's never picked up a basketball in his entire life.
Yeah.
And you see what that looks like. That's what all of you look like when you try to fight. I just want to let you know that.
And you would destroy all of them in 10 seconds.
Not all of them. But, the people who don't know how to fight, yes. All right, that's it for the Daily Dump, brought to you by our good friends at Valley Plumbing. We'll do a very quick leaderboard update next, and then we'll get to Lauren back in hour number 3. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, we got a PGA Tour leaderboard update coming your way from the Myrtle Beach Classic, brought to you by You Went to Golf. You're invited to You Went to Golf for the Mother's Day sale. Let your mom's bag get filled up with the right clubs. Book a free What's in the Bag club evaluation in-store or online. You Went to Golf. Get there. Get your mom all dialed in for her golf game before Mother's Day. Guys, you have 2 more days. All right? It's on Sunday. Make your purchases. Make your plans. Mother's Day is coming up. What's going on at the Myrtle Beach Classic, James?
Sorry. Quick audible. The Truist Championship is also going on this week, OC, and that's the one where all the big names are. Quail Hollow Golf Club. Didn't update the rundown for you. That's my bad. So Tony Finau is actually in this field. We'll update you on where he is. He is not the leader. Sung Jae Im is your leader. He's through 11 holes in this second round. He's at 8 under. 1 shot up on Matt McCarty, who's at 7 under. There's a group of guys tied for third at 6 under, including Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Thomas. In the group tied for 7th, which rounds out the top 10, you got Akshay Bhatia. You have Alex Fitzpatrick. They're all at 5 under. Tony Finau in the group right behind them, tied for 12th at 4 under. So a great start to the Truist Championship at Quail Hollow. And that's your PGA Tour leaderboard update, brought to you by You Went to Golf. We got a text yesterday that said Tony Finau's -3, and I'm like, oh, there's another tournament. Not the Myrtle Beach, I guess, is the lesser of the 2 tournaments going on this week. So there you go.
All right. Get your mom dialed in on the golf bag for Mother's Day. Also a reminder, this weekend is a perfect time for you to get down to Big Willie's at 1717 South Main. They're always the number 1 pool hall in Utah. They're always the number 1 sports bar in Utah, but it's not every single weekend that you have NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs happening at the same time. And even though I work for the PFL, I got to tell you, this UFC card this weekend is a big one. Maybe the best card that they put on this year. And Khamzat Chimaev, love him or hate him, is probably the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet right now. He had a very, very difficult weight cut, though. Going into this bout with Sean Strickland, that could potentially affect things, especially because title fights are 5-minute rounds, right? So if you really depleted yourself to make the weight, maybe you don't have the same longevity. In any case, that's the main event, middleweight title on the line in that one. And they'll have it for you at Big Willie's. They'll have the sound up. They'll have the fights on all the TVs. I'm going to try to get down there after I put the kids to bed. So the main card will begin around 8, and the main event will probably walk about 10:30. So if you're trying to figure out your plans, Big Willie's has you covered on every sport: golf, hockey, soccer, basketball, and even MMA or boxing. They've got it all. 1717 South Main. Tell them OC sent you. They'll take extra special care of you. Speaking of soccer, Lauren Beck, RSL Radio pre-half and post-game show host, is going to join us next. We haven't talked in forever. I feel bad. I'm a bad friend, but she's got good things going on in her life, and RSL's got some good things going on right now as well. We'll discuss. And then it's airing of grievances after that. We're 25 minutes away from you getting it all off your chest. Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Welcome to hour number 3 of the Sean O'Connell Show. Airing of grievances coming in 24-ish minutes. Right now, though, we check in with Lauren Beck, RSL Radio pre, half, and post-game show host. It has been way, way, way too long since we have spoken, Lauren. Welcome to the show. How are you?
It has been a very long time. I was trying to think of how long. I can't place it, but I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. It's good to hear you. And you've had amazing things going on in your personal life. Congratulations. Little Bird told me you've had some major milestones recently.
Oh, yes. We, since I last saw you, I have 2 children. One of them is a month old now. So, yeah, we're on maternity leave, trying to get the brain function back up. So you'll have to forgive the mom brain for a little bit of this. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I can't believe I'm adult enough to have other human beings to be adult or to be responsible for. But yeah, it's so fun.
Well, I don't want to one up you, but I think I've had 3 children since the last time we spoke. So it has been way too long. And of course, I didn't have to do any of the work on that, so it doesn't really count the same way. Let's get to some RSL here. Hot start for this team. Really, really interesting kind of soccer cycle that we're coming up on. We are a month away from the biggest sporting event in the world, the World Cup, being in our, home country, not here in Salt Lake City, unfortunately, but you've got like this inflection point for the sport of soccer that rolls around every 4 years, and it feels being brought into that much more focus by RSL's prominence right now, and of course by the fact that this is a World Cup happening in the United States. We'll stay with the club for now. As you've seen the good start, the strong start, to what do we attribute the goal scoring and the fact that this team is off to a good beginning here in the season?
Oh, man. I just think the front office has done a really good job bringing these players in. Pablo's been with the club for, 6 years now? And he's seen a lot of players come in and out, and he's done a good job with them. And we've had some fun times, but it's been inconsistent, where this year with the players they've brought in, the youth, and then the players who've been around for a little bit as well, kind of finding their stride in that leadership. I think it comes down to formation change, to the players they brought in, and the chemistry. They all talk about how strong that chemistry, how strong that locker room is right now. And that's kind of always been a focal point for Real Salt Lake, but it's kind of been lost in the last little while with stars coming in and people coming and going from the club, I think. But it feels like everyone's really bought in and is giving their all to this team right now. And I think that's made all the difference for them.
So the formation change is something that we've touched on with kind of everyone that we've had on to talk RSL soccer. And I'm really fascinated by the way something like that coalesces with the roster and with the personnel itself. I know that they wouldn't make a change to something that doesn't fit the bodies that you have, but from your standpoint, was this a change that was brought to maximize the personnel, or is the personnel being not forced, but being asked to fit into an optimal formation?
I think ideally, and what it seems like with RSL is that it's suited to the players. We've seen a lot of players come into RSL over the last couple of years, or over time, really, that their strengths don't quite match the formation that the coach wants to play. I think more recently, Anderson Julio, who is now with FC Dallas, is a good example of that. He's so fast. He wants that ball over the top and to just run at his defenders, but that isn't the way that Real Salt Lake played when he was here, and it just didn't quite work out. Where this formation change really suits the dribbling, the hold-up play, and the skill that these players have right now, like Gozo and Luna and Giavogi, and Olatunji as well. So I think it's more you want to bring players in that fit the system that you have, rather than having to kind of mold things together that don't quite fit. I think this is the best we've seen this roster built for the formation that they're actually trying to play week in and week out, and that's exactly what we're seeing is that it's clicking and that's working.
What is the home field advantage like right now? I mean, we go back to the championship year and the years pursuing that championship, and a newer club and a fan base that was kind of figuring out its identity the same way that the team was. And now this it's not an experiment anymore. This is a dyed-in-the-wool part of the sports culture here in the state, and of course, the identity of a building, of a stadium, of a fan base kind of evolves with that. And of course, it also goes up and down with the competitiveness of a team and whether or not you're making deep runs in playoffs and things like that. In this 2026 campaign, what are the supporters? What is the building like?
Oh, it's sold out every week. I can't remember the exact number of consecutive sellouts now for Real Salt Lake, but it goes back a good ways, and you can feel it in the stadium. I mean, they're 5-1-0 at home. The lone loss coming to Inter Miami, which, quite frankly, was a winnable game for RSL. And we always say that you get into the playoffs with your home record, and your away record is what kind of climbs you up the table into those top positions. And RSL, with that 5-1-0, it's becoming a fortress again. It was a little leaky at home there for a couple of years, but it's a really strong start for RSL. You can feel it in the stadium. They have those added stands, the temporary seating that they put in for the Miami game, and that little extra boost has been it's been loud. And that Miami game's like nothing I've ever seen. But this feeling of the club and at America First Field this season is different. It's exciting. Everyone's bought in. The fans have been loud every single week. It's been quite a fun atmosphere change so far this year.
Up next, it's Houston. What do you expect in that matchup?
Well, they are similarly styled to Real Salt Lake. They play the same formation. So it'll be really interesting to see how RSL matches up against them. They sit right under RSL on the table. At home, they're 2-1-4, so not great at home so far, but they have gotten some really good results. It's a tough place to play in Texas. It's not quite summer, so it won't be too bad down there for RSL, but it's a strong opponent. The Western Conference is tough. I mean, if you look at Real Salt Lake on 19 points, they'd be tied for second place in the Eastern Conference, but in the Western Conference, they're in sixth. Every Western Conference opponent is a tough one. It's going to challenge them, and that travel to Texas is tough as well. So I think they'll expect to have a team coming at them that attacks well. They have 20 goals scored for them this season, which is just one more than RSL. And RSL struggled to keep those clean sheets, just the one on the year, and that came last week against Portland. So a team that's similar to them and a strong attacking team. RSL's had their challenges defensively, and they've folded on a few of those, but still found a way to get results. But on the road, it's a little bit tougher. But this is a different RSL team mentally than we've seen the last few years. So I think while it will be a challenging game, it is a winnable one for RSL.
We're coming up on the World Cup, and with that, a World Cup break. And, it might not be the best timing, depending what these next couple of matches look like, if you can build some more momentum. And it has been a strong early portion of the season for this club. But, I mean, the World Cup pauses for nobody. And, of course, I imagine these players have interest even if they're not participating. So when we see this sort of global phenomenon event on U.S. soil, and, of course, Mexico and Canada as well, taking a portion of, I don't know, I won't say an ideal season, but a really good so far season for RSL. How is the club managing this and making sure that it doesn't throw an obstacle in the way of a club that is off to the right kind of start?
Yeah, that's the question right now, right? You go into this World Cup break, there's 4 more matches. 2 on the road, 2 at home, and then you're done for 2 months as a club. That's tough. And we've seen that there's always a June international break in Major League Soccer, and coming back from that has never been very kind to Real Salt Lake. And the last couple of years, it's been where things have kind of fallen apart, particularly in 2024 for RSL. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not really sure how you handle a 2-month break like that, where you want to keep your players in shape who aren't going to the World Cup. But, they also deserve a little bit of that break, right? It's going to be absolutely loaded once they come back from the World Cup break. It's a minimum of 14 games in August and September for this team. So you want to give them a little bit of a break, but they've got to stay in shape, probably treat it a little bit like a preseason with the players that stay in Salt Lake. But that international break in June typically is not too kind to RSL. So who knows what a longer one will look like for them with this World Cup.
For the World Cup tournament itself, there's been all of the headlines so far, and I've been perpetuating this, so I guess I'm guilty or complicit. It's about, the price gouging. It's about, how can you actually afford to attend a World Cup game if you're a big-time soccer fan? And the FIFA president's just like, man, we're pricing this for a U.S. market. This is what you guys pay for tickets over here, and we're the biggest event in the world. I'm really curious to see if there's a collapse of prices, if there's a secondary market, just let me get my money back for buying these things. I really have no idea how this is going to go. Do you have any sense of how successful or not this World Cup is going to be in North America?
Well, the reports are very conflicting. What the FIFA president is saying is that games are sold out, and then FIFA's coming out and saying, actually, they're not sold out. They're talking about the pricing, and it's absolutely valid. The pricing is crazy. It's sure you can claim you're selling to a U.S. market, and this is the market, but it really isn't. In this economy, and with the number of games there are, and how spread out it is, and the hotels and the travel and everything else, it's been a lot of finger pointing between FIFA and the host cities and whoever else is involved. And it's unfortunate because it is such a big event to see that the U.S.'s opening match, the lowest tickets are just under $1,000 at this point. I do think they will drop. We've seen drops in ticket prices. I think they'll continue to drop as the tournament gets closer. And games aren't selling out, but you're looking at the resale market right now is off the charts. There are tickets listed for the final in the millions of dollars, and no one's going to do that.
$2.3 million for a single game in anything. It's like if I get to play,
get me on the field.
if I get to participate in the World Cup final, sure, $2.3 million. But come on.
Well, and he's saying, I'll bring a hot dog and a Coke to anybody who's paying that much for those. That's not quite the compensation I'm sure anybody would look for. But yeah, the market's pretty crazy right now for those tickets. And it's unfortunate because they've never seen ticket prices like this before for the World Cup. It's usually not pricing out the average person. But I think those tickets will drop. They're not selling out, even the U.S. games. So I think we'll see those prices drop as it gets closer, and people will be able to fill those stadiums. But it is an unfortunate situation, and hopefully they can get things sorted with the transit as well in all of these various places. I think everyone from Europe, doesn't realize, and vice versa, how big the U.S. is and how big these cities are, and that they are not really walkable. So I think that's been a bit of a shock for a lot of people who are planning their trips to come to the World Cup as well, that they're not going to be able to really walk from their hotels to these stadiums in most of those games. So yeah, there's a lot to learn, I think, from everybody involved in this World Cup this year.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you are lucky enough and you go to some of these European cities, there's they drop their football stadiums right in the middle of everything else for the most part. And that is not necessarily our way. Now, some cities are like that in the United States, but that's not necessarily our way here in the States. And so That's I guess I'm trying to figure out the right way to phrase this question, because I feel like it is important to make sure that the global community has a good time at the World Cup. Like, we are not exactly the most popular on the world stage sometimes. And if you screw up the World Cup, if you're price gouging all these people that are already paying lots of money to come here to participate, to come here to be part of the World Cup in the United States, and then you make it more difficult for them to enjoy it or cost prohibitive for them to enjoy it, I feel like that is like a massive PR mistake for the country. And I know that the whole country isn't making these policies, and a lot of it is FIFA and whatever, but I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous about that, about everyone leaving the North American World Cup and being like, we don't ever want to go back there. That place sucks.
Yes, and it's kind of a precursor to the Olympics in LA as well, where how are things going to go with all of this as well? And you would hope with the U.S. having so much experience hosting big events that there would be a little bit more organization, and it might go a little bit smoother. And maybe as it happens, it will be fine. But yeah, I've seen the discourse of, oh, the U.S. shouldn't be involved in this. How are we letting the U.S. host this World Cup? And I can kind of understand it to a point, because again, with the transit alone, that's something that people weren't expecting and didn't realize was such an issue in a lot of places. And I mean, you look at New Jersey, and they're still working that out with FIFA and keeping their trains and whatnot affordable for everybody who's going to and from games. So yeah, you got to hope it's a good experience, but it seems like it's off to a rocky start. And this is the event. Every country in the world wants to host the World Cup. It's an honor. It's the biggest event in sports other than the Olympics, and you can't screw it up. So yeah, hopefully in this next month and change, some things get worked out, and they make some good changes, and differences are made, because it needs to be, as you said, it needs to be a good experience. You don't want people leaving this World Cup saying the U.S. can't ever do that again.
From an actual soccer standpoint, what is the Team USA ceiling in this tournament?
Ooh. Pressure. So much pressure. As one of the host countries, as a team that's been not performing very well in recent games. I mean, Portugal and Belgium are good teams. A lot of people have them kind of higher up in their rankings for this World Cup. But tough results against those guys in March. You have a couple friendlies coming up to warm up for the World Cup, Senegal and Germany. Those will be crucial for the U.S., but the pressure's got to be mounting. Christian Pulisic has not scored a goal in 2026 for his club or country, and that's going to add to his pressure as the face of the U.S. men's national team. I think it's Time magazine that he's on the cover for, like today. I think it was released. So lots of pressure on him, but he has. Last time he had a streak like this where he wasn't scoring goals, he scored some of his biggest goals of his career coming out of that. So hopefully the pressure makes diamonds in this situation, but hosting and having the last couple of results not go their way and having your top players not quite performing where you'd at, that pressure for them is going to be mounting for sure.
This is a very ignorant question, and I apologize for it, but like how set it, can you make a change, a desperation change? I know you're not going to do it with Pulisic just because he's cold, but can you make a change on the men's national team roster like the day before the World Cup starts? I mean, how set does the roster have to be a month out?
Well, right now it's not, and nothing's been decided, but I think it's the 26th that they announce it. I can't remember the specific rules for bringing players in after the roster is announced. There may be some injury exceptions depending on the situation, but it's usually pretty set once it's set. It is a big roster though, and that does accommodate for injuries or other issues. It's a bigger roster than you would normally have for a typical call-up. But yeah, it wouldn't be too. It would be a pretty big thing to make any big changes. I don't know how big you can really swing with the current pool of U.S. players, but you have players who've been performing really well in Europe and in Major League Soccer for the U.S. And hopefully they can pull it off. I think the talent is there. It's just been a matter of putting it together with the team, which is the hard thing because they're not together very often. So individually, they might be great players, or they might play really well with their club team. But when you come in as a national team, you're not spending a lot of time together. So those couple weeks of training before the World Cup are going to be huge. Those friendlies on May 31st and June 6th are also going to be huge for the U.S.
Lauren, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you giving us some time today. The time of a new mom is like the most valuable time on planet Earth. So to give us, 25 minutes or so, that's a real gift. Thank you. Congratulations on all the great things happening in your life. You continue to do a great job on pre, half, and post for RSL, and hopefully I see you soon.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you, Sean. Have a great day. Thanks for having me on.
That's Lauren Beck, RSL insider, and yes, she does host pre, half, and post. A new mom, now a mom of two, so a new mom the second time over. And, man, that's – you know how when, like, people that you work with, that you meet, that you like, you become friends with, and then life takes you in different directions and you don't see them for a long time, you don't talk to them, then you're like, man, that sucks that I haven't talked to that person in years, because Lauren is awesome and always was. So big thanks to her for hopping on. We have come to that portion of a show on a Friday where you get to air your grievances and get it all off your chest. You could call at 877-353-0700. You can text us at 877-353-0700. You can tweet at me at RealOCSports. Whatever it is that bothers you, that's needling at you, or you just need to get out into the world. Airing of grievances in 3 minutes on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, 877-353-0700. Now's the time to text us, to call us, to air your grievances here on a Friday. Get it off your chest, head into the weekend unburdened, free of angst. I'm going to start with a minor grievance to air against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I saw you, Shai. That was a dirty play against Austin Reeves. It was dirty. The flagrant one was appropriate, but maybe even borderline weak for what you did. That was a serious violation of the protocols around basketball sportsmanship. So I got my eye on you, SGA.
And
you're not the Boy Scout everyone likes to pretend you are.
And I'm gonna speak for you for a second. I want to fight you in a jiu-jitsu match, and I'm gonna do that to your arm.
And it'll be frowned upon.
Yeah.
Be frowned upon.
I'll get a flagrant.
Yeah.
I won't. I was speaking for you. I won't actually fight.
How about this is coming in hot already with the grievances. Curtis Bingham, the idea of paying extra for cheese on a cheeseburger. It's called a cheeseburger. Just include the price of said cheese within the cost, not an additional charge. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If it's
what
a burger,
are we doing here?
If it's a burger and you have to pay for the cheese, fine. If it's a cheeseburger and you have to pay for the cheese, no.
Just label it a hamburger.
You know what I think also?
Yeah.
I think that actually if you want extra cheese, that should also be free.
Oh.
It's a cheeseburger. If you want extra cheese on a cheese pizza, I think you should be able to say extra cheesy, please. Because guess what, James? When people are just like, hey, light on the sauce, light on the cheese.
Yeah.
They don't reduce the price.
Yeah.
It all balances out at the end. You know how many times I've been like, no salad dressing, please, on my salad? Are you going to charge me less for the salad? No. So when someone says, I would like extra, don't charge them for it.
That's what we need to do. In order to get into this influencing boxing, you need to start doing TikTok videos of you asking for the price to be reduced.
That's a great idea.
That's for things like that.
I would like a bacon cheeseburger, light on the bacon, please. They're just like, oh, yeah, no problem. Are you going to take 50 cents off? Well, no. Why not? If I ask for extra bacon, you'd charge me $1 more.
Up, are you going to take 50 cents
off? What do you think? So, yeah, I will further your grievance, Curtis, and I will say you need to, as a restaurant, you need to let it all balance out. You need to realize that some people are asking for things without, and some people are asking for things with extra, and it probably balances. Of course, I have no actual working knowledge of whether or not it really balances, and I just sit here and I spew nonsense into a microphone for a living, but that is my very deeply held belief now. So take that.
You do have an MBA, so you have credentials. You have business credentials.
So if someone actually presented me like the profit and loss associated with the charging of extra or not charging of extra, then I could interpret it properly. But for now, ignorance is bliss. So I'm going to stay here.
You're not ignorant though. You have an MBA, so they should trust you.
My grievance would be any cheap shot during a fight. Okay, yeah, that is a grievance, and this becomes from 1943 because yesterday at the media face-off for the UFC card this weekend, Khamzat Chimaev kicked Sean Strickland during the face-off, and it looks like maybe his knee got compromised some way. The thing with this is, yes, it's dirty. The thing with this is, though, like, it's why you don't act like a jackass before the fight is happening. Like, you don't act like, you better hold me back. You better hold me back. No. You walk up like a professional. You say, let's get this photo. Let's share a couple of words, whatever. But let's not compromise our ability to compete. Let's not compromise our ability to make the actual money. Because one thing that every fighter knows about MMA, about boxing, you don't get paid unless you actually fight. So if you're doing this tomfoolery at the weigh-ins, at the face-offs, that is threatening your ability to fight, you're just an emotionally unregulated moron. Like, you can say whatever you want to me at the weigh-ins, and I'm not going to physically attack you because I get to physically attack you tomorrow for money.
Hey, you don't want to compromise your money.
Yes.
Absolutely not. That makes complete sense.
It's crazy.
By the way, that was our blue collar worker texting in. Shout out to you, 1943.
How about this? Taylor says, not a grievance, but I think that Sean and his wife should get those tickets at Big Willie's because Sean is awesome, and I'm sure his wife is twice as awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
What great words. Pat, you listening?
I second. This is amazing from 5391. Grievance when my wife insists on going to Home Depot with me when I'm going for a couple of things, and she makes me look at stuff she knows we are not buying. That is often just the shopping experience of a married couple. And to be fair, I think it goes both ways. Like, if your wife is going to a store to she knows what she's getting, and you tag along, you're just like, well, I also need pellets for the Traeger grill. It's probably she's like, no, dang it. I wanted this to be quick.
Yeah.
I wanted this to be easy. I don't want the big flat pallet thing to push around. I just wanted to get in and out of here. My wife gets mad at me because I'll be like, I like taking my kids grocery shopping. I like taking them to Costco. I know that's a hot take. Other people hate that. I really enjoy it because, their little perspective on the world is hilarious and they love the samples. They get all excited about the samples, and so do I,
You're putting Costco out of business with how much they're eating the samples.
I love it. I love taking and it's like it kills two birds with one stone. It gives my wife a little break, so I'm getting in her good graces. I love taking them. And then she'll sometimes be like, I want to come too. And I'm like, no. And she gets mad. She's like, why? I'm like, because I already know Costco's going to cost me $300 and something. If you come, it's going to cost me $500 and something.
She's just trying to add to the great family outing, OC.
It's addition by subtraction. I'm sorry. I don't want you there because what we need is we need cheese, we need salsa, we need chicken, we need some fruit, we need some celery. I need toilet paper. We still have a young one. We're getting out of the diapers into the pull-ups, but I got to buy those. I'm getting some dog food. I know what I'm getting, all right? I need 48 eggs. I go buy 2 of the 2 dozen egg things. I've got the system down. Well, I want to come. No, because I don't want to buy a new vacuum cleaner while we're there. No. Grievance echoed.
That turned into your grievance.
Do you have anything you want to share, James?
I do, and mine's a little niche here. So Stanley Cup playoffs here in town.
Uh-huh.
It was fantastic. I don't have any problem with the in-arena experience and anything like that. One thing I noticed though, because when I drive into town, I live not too far out of town. I drive past the Delta Center on 3rd West,
okay,
and you see the front of the building. And I was like, hold on, NBA playoffs, they typically have some kind of banner that says NBA playoffs. I wonder why they don't have that for NHL. That's weird. They did have one, OC. Okay. It was just on the back facing the gateway.
Oh.
I didn't find that out until after they were eliminated. I'm like, hold on. What are you doing? You put it on the wrong side. So that's my grievance. You got to put it on the front of the building.
You got to put it on, that's like where the plaza's at, where the puck and the note.
Where everything that's catered to all the fans, the team store's right there,
the main
box office where you're buying concert tickets, that's all right there. That's clearly the front, not the one facing the gateway. Obviously, there's more traffic as far as people driving around in the front of the building too, not the other side. So you got to put the big, cool, we made the playoffs banner there.
By the way, you see that they're building that giant parking structure on the gateway side?
I did see that. Yeah, that's part of the the renovation.
Yeah, they said they put a video out. We've been on the show, so I haven't been able to watch it yet. But it's supposed to be done before next season.
Yeah, I think the whole renovation. I think it's supposed to be done. Brogan Houston had a really good question in that first press conference with Ryan Smith and Gary Bettman before Game 3, the first home game.
Yeah.
Asking, so will a deep playoff run, how much will that delay, how much will that affect the renovations before next season? And he said, and Ryan Smith was actually really funny about it. Jim Olson, CEO, I think he's CEO. Anyway, he's a big wig in Smith Entertainment Group with the Jazz and Mammoth. He was sitting in the front row in the media seats, and he says, "Jim's right there." What's really funny is this is part of his job to stress about this stuff, and he is stressing about it. But we all would welcome a deep playoff run. But yeah, it would affect some things. So
yeah, good problem to have, though.
But now, anyway, it's over, so it's not going to affect it too much.
Okay, so
but that was pretty funny about that.
Put it on the other side, and James is happy.
Yeah, like I don't understand why you went through the trouble to buy and put up that big cool post. It was a cool, like, we made the playoffs, this is awesome poster. No one saw it because it was on the back of the building. Like, put it in the front.
Okay, I have a pretty serious grievance here. I have a grievance, James, that indirectly almost led to you probably having to fire me from this show.
Oh my gosh.
So, when I
won't promise immunity.
When I was getting on the airplane last week to go to Sioux Falls, my wife called me very upset. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? They were doing a fundraiser for my daughter's school, her and another mom in the neighborhood. And between the two of them, these two young women, lovely young women, had 6 children aging from 6 months. No, he's like a year old now, like a year old to 10 years old. Okay. All in there. I've got a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old. Okay. They were fundraising by having a little bake sale, right? They effectively had set up a little lemonade stand. It was just a folding table on a sidewalk, and our street, nobody's driving past. The street that this other family lives on, nobody's driving past. So they went a block up the road to a more well-traveled thoroughfare, okay? Set up on a corner. It's a big corner, a lot of traffic. Not high-speed traffic, but a lot of people driving through the neighborhoods. Major thoroughfare through the neighborhood, okay?
Highly coveted spot for the lemonade standers.
It's just a spot.
Yeah.
Right? And they were on the corner, like, of an intersection. Now, of course, there's somebody who lives in the nearest house, but they are on the sidewalk, okay? The homeowners come out and just like, hey, could you guys be careful? Make sure you don't step on the plants. Yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. And then, apparently, said homeowner, this was the woman of the couple, was the first one. Hey, please watch out for the plants. Okay, no problem. Kids, make sure you don't step on the plants. Okay, no problem. And then, a short time later, I was going to say gentleman, not a gentleman, complete moron, comes roaring up high speed in his car, gets out and starts berating my wife and this other mom, screaming, yelling, cursing, dropping F-bombs on these 2 women and 6 children, okay? I didn't find this out till after. I'm on an airplane. My grievance is with bad neighbors, okay? He was worried about the plants that they had just planted. I don't give a bleep about your stupid plants. We live in a society where human relationships are a lot more important than any cost that you have spent on your lawn, than any decoration you have put in front of your house. Nobody wants to live in a neighborhood where the teenagers are running rampant and destroying property and stuff. But even if that is happening, as an adult, you should be a good neighbor, and you should understand that there's just like part of this. Kids setting up a lemonade stand with their moms to fundraise for the school that's down at the end of your road should not be something that upsets you enough to where you are getting dang near physical with 2 women. Don't be a bad neighbor. The other grievance I have is actually with the prevalence of Ring doorbell cameras. Because...
Did you get caught doing something?
No.
Okay.
I didn't do anything because I would have been caught by the Ring doorbell camera.
Yeah.
Because I
Incidentally,
can't let that stuff slide, James.
Yeah.
I can't. When my wife calls me and is crying because some idiot was yelling and cursing at her while she's literally holding our child, and this other mom is literally holding their child in her hands, and we've got the other kids there, it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, you're just trying to They're just trying to supervise a bake sale.
Yes.
Come on.
When that happens and I am like feeling this impotent rage because I can't help, right?
Yeah.
And then I go and I do my work. And she was fine. Everyone was fine. It was fine, right? They
It's
left.
really upsetting.
They packed up and left. And I was like, I just can't let that stuff slide. So allegedly, I may or may not have gone to have a conversation with the offending individual. And the unfortunate reality is that I was not able to express myself the way that I wanted to because doorbell camera technology creates a technological witness to any bad behaviors.
Yeah.
So I couldn't deliver the message that I allegedly would have preferred delivering in a more effective and definitive manner, that you don't threaten people's wives and children ever. That's my grievance.
That's terrible.
If you come home and there are 5-year-old and 6-year-olds destroying your garden and your lawn, you still don't get up in their faces and yell and curse at them. They're children.
Yeah.
If they just happen to be in a place that you don't like them being, you definitely don't do that. My grievance is with any of you out there who's a bad neighbor or anyone who feels like, well, I'm justified in expressing my bother over this. No, you're not. Not that way. We live in neighborhoods, people. We are a society of friendly American folks that should, you know what you should do if someone sets up the lemonade stand out in front of your house? You go and you buy something from the lemonade stand. And you say, isn't it great that we live in a place where kids and parents feel safe in doing this? Isn't it wonderful that we live in a neighborhood where you can have people driving by in their cars, honking, waving, maybe pulling over? Yeah, I'll support your little school fundraiser. That's what we should be focusing on here. And guess what? I didn't have this stance just because I'm a dad now. My entire life, I have stopped at the lemonade stand and I have given money to the dang kids because that is something you remember when you're a little kid. Grievance aired. I feel better.
Yeah, I related one that I just remembered. Not anything that happened to me, but I know someone who works for like one of those CNA type companies where you go and you take care of often elderly people, right? And you keep them company and you take care of whatever they need. Apparently, there's a neighbor of one of these clients who freaks out whenever someone's loitering on the sidewalk in front of their house.
Public property. Sidewalks are public property.
On the sidewalk. So, like, he comes out, apparently he's there all day. He's an older person, so he's just home all day. So apparently whenever he perceives someone's spending too much time on his sidewalk,
yeah,
he'll let them know about it in a very rude way, probably similar to how your neighbor that you just described would do it. And so finding out about this, I tell my wife about it. She's like, we should go get some camping chairs and just have a great time on his sidewalk. Like, so so grievance against bad neighbors, but also echoed that, but also like grievance against people who think that the sidewalk is theirs. That's not trespassing. We can stand here for as long as we want.
So when I allegedly went to have a discussion with this offender, I was like, it's the sidewalk. It's public property. Relax. This person felt fully justified in their reaction by saying, well, it's against ordinances to block a sidewalk. It's against the rules. I was like, so you feel good about that reaction over children setting up a little fundraising table on a sidewalk because it blocked the ordinance. It goes against the city ordinances. And he was just dug all the way in and felt really smugly good about himself. You don't know the ordinances. Like, I don't know the ordinances.
And there's the smudgeness.
And then I looked at the Ring camera, and I was like, man, I wonder if he knows, allegedly, that this is saving his life right now, allegedly. And he probably doesn't, allegedly. Ooh.
Bad neighbors, man. Terrible.
Don't be bad neighbors. In fact, let's all, this weekend, to overcompensate for the fact that those types of people exist in the world, let's all spend this weekend, Mother's Day weekend, being extra good neighbors. Can we do that together? friends and family of the Sean O'Connell Show?
How about we pick the flowers that were just planted at a certain house and give them to our mothers?
Oh, I have thought of some very creative ways to make my revenge, but that would be unchristian and not what I want to do with my life, and a bad example.
You're trying to be a good neighbor. That would not be
Yeah.
a good neighbor form.
High road. I'm not really good at the high road thing, I'll tell you that. It is not natural for me.
I feel unburdened.
That is the airing of grievances. We'll wrap things up, maybe talk to Spence Checketts next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Should we give away some golf, James? Let's do it. Sean O'Connell Show, wrap it up here. I've got a free round of golf courtesy of the Festival of Tees, brought to you by the Utah Golf Association, powered by Mountain Home Services, 877-353-0700. Mount Ogden, known for a challenging mountainside layout, significant elevation changes. Northern Utah's answer, is there any good golf in Ogden? Well, yeah, it's Mount Ogden. 801-629-0699 is how you call them, schedule around. 877-353-0700. If you could tell me who the leading scorer, all players, was last night in the OKC versus LA playoff game. 877-353-0700 for a free round of golf at Mount Ogden. Which player led all scorers last night in that contest? Crosstalk here on a Friday, brought to you by our friends at Advanced Window Products. 801-850-9100, $2,500 off, 10 windows or more. Lifetime warranty on the windows. They will make your home more energy efficient. They will beautify your home. They will increase the resale value of your home. Tell them OC sent you. Spence, the drive is next. Did you know?
Yes, that's the point of me being in this room is
you wouldn't just come to hang out with me?
Well, I mean, if you invited me to, I would. I've never even been on the Sean O'Connell show, I don't think. It hurts my feelings. I'll come in studio and do a segment with you, especially if you're wearing a shirt like that. That's a good-looking shirt.
I bet you could guess who bought this shirt for me.
Kendall.
Not me.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is that a Tommy Bahama?
I don't know what it is.
Wait, do you have a chest tat?
You didn't know that?
Calm down, Murph. I'm just asking questions.
Don't do that.
What's the chest tat?
It's a stained glass angel.
Is there meaning behind it?
Yeah.
How many tats do you have?
6.
6.
But it's like chest, whole back.
Okay.
Whole side,
Yeah.
whole arm.
I've always been afraid to get one because with my personality type, I think if I got one, I'd show up in 2 weeks and I'd be covered in tattoos.
I want to be covered. I don't have the time to make myself fully covered.
See, I like Beckham's neck tat that you can kind of see a little bit, like big back neck tat.
David Beckham could make anything look cool, though.
What are you saying about me? I think I can pull
Nothing.
most things off.
Nothing.
No, you're saying something. Say it out loud. Grievance. You won't say it out loud.
Do you have any grievances you want to air?
Say again.
Do you have any grievances you want to air?
Your story about the neighbor berating your poor wife fired me up. And knowing you the way I do, nice job by you that he is still among the living.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
if there had not been a doorbell camera,
Yeah.
things would be very different for
Yeah.
him in his life today. But allegedly.
How old is this gentleman?
Well, that also helped him because he's about my dad's age.
Okay. All right.
Which makes it even less excusable.
Yeah, for sure. It reminded me, so my brother Nate has always been, he was an entrepreneur at the age of 5.
Okay.
And he's continued to this day. He's built this massive company. I probably should have been nicer to him. But he and my other 2 little brothers, during the summer, would set up a lemonade stand at the end of our street. And there was just one lady in the neighborhood that constantly was giving them crap and complaining, calling the authorities. The police would show up and be like, "What? These are kids selling lemonade, miss.
Yeah.
Calm down." She would like they would leave the lemonade stand to go get more supplies, and she would like tip their table over and stuff.
That is so sad.
Yeah, and so is like their older brother. Of course, one day I was 15, 16 years old. So I walked with them to set up the lemonade stand. And when she came out, as a 16-year-old punk older brother would do, I MF'd her up and down.
Great.
So my mom was like, what was her name? I don't know. We'll say Miss Johnson or whatever. She's like, did you use the F word in the direction of Miss Johnson? I'm like, yeah, I did, as a matter of fact. My poor parents, there was, here's a grievance. It's not timely on the calendar. Grievance for carolers, Christmas carolers, okay? I have a grievance for people that show up at your house, knock on the door, and make you listen to them sing. Does this happen to you ever? You get knocks on the door during the holiday season where carolers will come and make you listen to them sing?
Can I tell you something? I've seen this on movies and television. I have never once in my entire 42 years of existence actually encountered real Christmas carolers.
Let me tell you a story, okay? It's timely based off of Bad Neighbors, because in this instance, I was the bad neighbor. So one year, we used to try to take trips during the holiday season because, my dad had a little time off. And one year I had to stay home for basketball practice in our holiday tournament while my family left. I was 17 years old. I'm the only one in the house. And you know how here the LDS ward boundaries here, you could live across the street from someone and be in a different ward, right?
Yeah.
So, but back there, it's much different, okay? So, like, the stakes are, our stake center was like a 4-hour drive at one point. So, in order to carol for ward members, carolers have to gather and then drive like 20 minutes to the home where they want to sing. And my dad was the stake president, but I'm home alone, okay, in the boxers, full teenage mode, probably just watching some Saved by the Bell dopey show or whatever. And I hear the doorbell ring. And so I stand up. I go and open the door, and it's like 40 ward members, not knowing my family wasn't home. And I open the door, and they start singing. I just shut it.
No.
And then I go back on the couch.
No.
And
you can't do that.
The phone rings about an hour later, and it's my dad. And he said, Spencer, please tell me that you didn't slam the door on our ward members who were there to sing Christmas carols. I'm like, Dad, I opened the door, and if I'm in my boxers, okay? I'm not going to stand there and let them, because here's the other thing. It's never a song. You launch in and We Wish You a Merry Christmas, then it's like Jingle Bells, then it's like whatever the hell else. So if I stand there with the door open, I'm probably obligated for another 10 minutes to stand there in my boxers and listen to the carolers sing. I'm like, Dad, I'm sorry, I can.
And, by the way, had you done that, had you stood there and listened, then the call still would have come, but why were you wearing your boxers standing in front of the ward?
Correct. Yeah, it's a lose-lose. Thank you for having my back.
It's a lose-lose.
So in that moment, but my poor father's like, please tell me you didn't do this. I'm like, yeah, I did. So I was the bad neighbor in that instant.
I love our texters, by the way. This is fantastic from Curtis. Hey, I love your grievance. You're rightfully to be angered by a lame neighbor. Also, your neighbor doesn't know what he's talking about. Utah passed a bill to protect just this.
Oh.
It protects a kid's right to block a sidewalk temporarily to do so. The lemonade law, State Bill 81.
Looks like you have a second visit coming to that guy's.
Grievance against the timing of things in the world, because whenever something happens, something like this happens to anybody I care about, whenever there is some kind of encounter, I am never, ever, ever there. In my entire life, my best friend who doesn't go to clubs, the 3 times he's been to a club and people have tried to fight him, I'm not with him. It's like, how does this only happen when I'm not around?
It's probably a good thing at the end of the day, because you are one swing away from maybe spending some time in the federal penitentiary, and you're a father. We need to keep you out of jail.
Yeah. That's
I mean, that's the goal.
Cooler heads always should prevail.
Yeah, indeed.
So when you see a lemonade stand, pull over, not to yell at the mothers and the children, pull over to Venmo them. Or if you still carry cash, contribute to their cause.
It's a brilliant business model, because who wouldn't do that? Like, and I rarely drink the lemonade because I don't know if their snotty little hands are in it. But
guarantee they are.
Here's $5. Boom.
The sugar ratio on those bad boys is always wrong. There's always like the sediment in the bottom. A Country Time lemonade is just loaded up.
Yep. But it's a brilliant business model. So you just throw 4 cute little 8-year-olds out there. Who isn't going to stop? I guess apparently a bad neighbor will berate, but that's silly.
Be good neighbors.
Indeed.
Be good neighbors and listen to The Drive with Spence Checketts.
Well said.
We'll be with you on Monday. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1